Chapter 1294. Feng Zi exclaimed, "How can this be? To think that my winged demon finger is like a toy in his hands." Xiao Chun smiled faintly and said, "The game ends here. Many thanks for your teachings. I have just barely grasped the rudiments of this Taiji Dao." However, as Xiao Chun had just grasped the rudiments, he could not use the Taiji Dao to destroy this winged demon finger. However, if he continued fighting, he would not make any more breakthroughs. So, Xiao Chun lost his patience. After dispelling the Taiji force field, Xiao Chun circulated his primordial energy, and a heavy emperor's might spread out from his body. The lunar shadow saber released a light as it hacked down. The weakened winged demon finger instantly split in half. Primordial energy. Feng Zi felt dizzy, not daring to believe what he saw. Saber intent filling the air for me to use. With a thought, a vast saber intent spread out within 1 kilometer, gathering on the saber. Then, Xiao Chun took advantage of the opportunity to leap up and hack down with his saber. Kassier! Kassier! When the saber descended, space tore apart like tofu. Before the saber arrived, it had already arrived before Feng Zi. Feng Zi instantly went flying, his clothes tattered, and he vomited a large mouthful of blood. The saber domain that already reached the microscopic realm. Feng Zi no longer had any fighting spirit in his heart. He turned and fled, only wanted to leave this place quickly. Xiao Chun, who was radiating a vast emperor's might, immediately suppressed Feng Zi's aura, even though he had already activated the demonic world's royal bloodline. In this world, the most dazzling light was Xiao Chun. After Xiao Chun circulated his primordial energy, the stalemate instantly broke. As Xiao Chun watched the fleeing Feng Zi, he quickly swung his saber, gathering all the glory of the various mysterious phenomena into one saber strike. Instant of glory, a painting within a painting. Feng Zi felt a huge pressure. When he turned his head to look, he was immediately startled. He saw a huge and vivid painting covering the area and flying toward him. Winged demon finger. Condense. Feng Zi could no longer care about overdrawing on his strength. He clenched his teeth and executed the winged demon finger again, gathering all the energy on his finger. Kassier. The painting of glory shattered. However, before Feng Zi could rejoice, a new painting appeared. Break. Feng Zi, who still did not know that he was in the painting, heard Xiao Chun shout and saw space shatter, revealing him in the space in the painting. His body immediately suffered the pain of thousands of explosions, causing him to howl in pain. Feng Zi activated a necklace on his chest, and a protective halo appeared around him. This was a protective item given to him by the Wind Demon King. Xiao Chun could even flee from a sovereign martial emperor. However, he used it up prematurely against Xiao Chun today. White-robed bladesman. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. I will definitely take revenge for today's grudge in the Kunlun realm in the future. Seeing Feng Zi's protective light shield, Xiao Chun sheathed his saber and stopped attacking. This guy's speed was already amazing, and now that he had taken out his life-saving artifact, there was no point in chasing after him. In any case, Yao Manlon had already been captured. There was no need to fear that they would not be able to dig out the secrets of her line of work. The 3 surviving old men of the Sky Dome Palace walked over and asked respectfully to Xiao Chun, "Might I ask for little friend's great name and which senior you are a disciple of?" Respect for the strong, regardless of seniority, was the tradition of this world. Xiao Chun gladly accepted, not finding it inappropriate. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Everyone, there is no need to stand on ceremony. I am Xiao Chun, consider a member of the Bushin Palace as well. The Thunder King conferred me the title of Blue Dragon King long ago." Conferred king? The Thunder King conferred you that. He was conferred king at such a young age. The 3 old men had not left the Sky Dome Palace for a long time. They were startled, their faces filled with incredulity. In the blink of an eye, this Xiao Chun's status was even higher than theirs. "Greetings, Blue Dragon King." The 3 old men quickly bowed. This was the rule of the Bushin Palace. Before advancing to martial emperor, when one was conferred king, everyone had to show respect. At this moment, Yu and the hemp-robed old man walked over. When they saw the three old men of the Sky Dome Palace bowing to Xiao Chun, they were stunned. Xiao Chun waved his hand and said, "You are too polite. You should take care of this demonic girl first, and then tidy up the Sky Dome Palace properly." Right. Old Yun, who controlled half of the Sky Dome Heart, said, "This demonic girl has caused great harm. We have to interrogate her properly." When the two old men beside Old Yun saw Yao Man Lan lying on the ground, they mercilessly knocked her out with a palm strike. Then, they placed restrictions in her body, temporarily turning her into an ordinary person. "We will go and deal with the aftermath first. Blue Dragon King, how about you rest in the palace first? After we are done, we will come and entertain you," Old Yun invited. Xiao Chun felt excited. There were some places in this Sky Dome Immortal realm that he was very interested in. He could ask these three old men about them, so he did not hesitate to agree. Old Yun revealed a smile and retreated. "You are really good. You tricked me into such a miserable state. To think that I was worried about you when I came. Should I address you as Blue Dragon King now?" Yu scolded jokingly after the three old men left, her eyes filled with mockery. Xiao Chun smiled and said, "Back then, I already told you that I would do it alone. If you did not believe me, there was nothing I could do." When the hemp-robed old man heard this, he revealed an embarrassed expression. He smiled and said, "I will take my leave first. I have not been out for a long time. The world has really changed. The demonic geniuses of the demonic world's royal clan are actually this strong. Goodbye. Are your injuries all right?" Yu asked as she pointed to the wounds of various sizes on Xiao Chen's body. Strong demonic chi lingered on them, making them look very scary. Xiao Chun smiled and said, "These are just superficial wounds. They're not a problem. Let's enter the Sky Dome Palace first." Yu shook her head and said, "I won't be going. They are definitely looking for you to discuss the situation this time. I will not interfere with the internal matters of the Bushin Palace." Xiao Chun recalled that Yu belonged to the Ying clan. Although the Ying clan was strong in the Kunlun realm and had abundant accumulations, it was not under the jurisdiction of the Bushin Palace. Xiao Chun did not force her and let her go. A servant of the Sky Dome Palace arrived late and led Xiao Chun to a pavilion in the inner palace. Now that he had some free time, Xiao Chun did not rest. He continuously thought about the earlier battle. There was both joy and worry in his heart. Xiao Chun rejoiced because he had gained a basic understanding of the Taiji Dao. In the future, he would have another strong move. Xiao Chun was worried because he did not know how strong Feng Zi was among the demonic world's royal clan. If this person was not at the peak, then the demonic geniuses of the demonic world's royal clan would be somewhat horrifying. Feng Zi left two deep impressions on Xiao Chun. First, the other party was even faster than him. Second, once the other party's royal bloodline was activated, his strength underwent a qualitative change. If not for Xiao Chun condensing the heart of an emperor and being able to cultivate primordial energy, he would not have won this battle so easily. However, primordial energy was not invincible. After others found out about it, there would always be a way to deal with it. Xiao Chun could not lower his guard against the deep abyss demonic races. For hours later, Old Yun walked in apologetically. Sorry for making the Blue Dragon King wait for so long." Xiao Chun put down his teacup and smiled. "I was not bored. Old Yun, please tell me about the casualties." When Xiao Chun mentioned the casualties, Old Yun's expression turned grave. 1,000 martial sages all died. None of them survived. Fortunately, the Sky Dome Dragon Formation was not broken. When the Bushin Palace sends new people, it will be able to resume operations. However, Old Yun wanted to say something, but stopped. Xiao Chun asked out of curiosity, "However what?" Old Yun replied after some thought, "However, the good days are probably over. Although the demons did not break the agreement and send Emperor Wu, this is the first time in the past 10,000 years that they have fought for the Sky Dome Heart. However, this is the first time in the past 10,000 years that someone has snatched the Sky Dome Heart. I'm afraid there will be great chaos. A demonic calamity? Old Yin shook his head. In the past 10,000 years, we have experienced several demonic calamities. The Kunlun realm has to suffer a demonic calamity almost every 1,000 years. However, no matter which demonic calamity it was, our Sky Dome Palace was never attacked. The more important thing is that the demonic calamity that was supposed to arrive this time has not arrived yet. I believe that once it does, it will be a great calamity. At that time, no one will be able to avoid it. Xiao Qian's heart sank. A great calamity? This old Yin could be considered a veteran of the Bushin Palace. His words were most likely correct. The two chatted for a while. Then, Xiao Chun spoke of his intentions. Does old Yin know of any unknown forbidden lands in the Sky Dome Immortal Realm? There are really a lot of forbidden lands in the Sky Dome Immortal Realm. However, to the Blue Dragon King, most of them should not be considered forbidden lands. Old Yin thought for a while before saying, the Blue Dragon King wants to explore this Sky Dome Immortal Realm. What's wrong? Could it be that there are some prohibitions against exploring? Old Yin smiled and said, the Blue Dragon King misunderstands. Even if there are treasures in this Sky Dome Immortal Realm, they're just magic skills. No one needs them or cares about them. If the Blue Dragon King wants to explore, I have a map here that records all the forbidden lands of the Sky Dome Immortal Realm in detail. There are clear classifications. Martial Sage, Blue-Robed Emperor, Half-Step Emperor Wu, and Sovereign Martial Emperor level forbidden lands. There are all of them. When Xiao Qian heard this, he was startled. There are even Sovereign Martial Emperor level forbidden lands. Xiao Qian was really not sure about this. Previously, when he was in the Sky Dome Immortal Realm, he had not been strong enough, so he had only explored it roughly. However, there's only one. If the Blue Dragon King does not need to, it is best not to go there. Xiao Qian received the map that the other party handed over. Intense interest appeared in his eyes. His two minor magic skills were no longer of interest to him. Xiao Qian needed a major magic skill, or even a supreme magic skill. Magic energy was not a problem. Once the purple thunder divine incantation broke through to the 8th layer, his sea of consciousness would expand again and hold even more magic energy. Old Yin, do you mind if I stay here for a few more days? Xiao Qian asked. Old Yin smiled and replied, what is there to mind? The Sky Dome Palace welcomes the Blue Dragon King at any time. You can stay as long as you want. Many thanks. Xiao Qian needed time to understand the restrictions on the map. He also needed time to consolidate his comprehension of the Taiji Dao. At this point, it was extremely difficult for Xiao Qian to raise his strength. The appearance of the Taiji Dao allowed Xiao Qian to see a trace of possibility. If he succeeded, it would be a great help. However, this was not enough. For his great tribulation of wind and fire, it was far from enough. Hence, Xiao Qian needed a magic skill that could help him clear his great tribulation of wind and fire, a supreme magic skill. Spreading out the map, Xiao Qian thought carefully. He ignored all the forbidden lands below Half-Step Emperor Wu. The reason was simple. The old men of the Sky Dome Palace who had this map were all Half-Step Emperor Wu's strength. They should have all been there before. Chapter 1295. Since someone had already visited these places, how could there be anything good left? In that case, there were not many left. There were a total of 10 Half-Step Emperor Wu level forbidden lands for Emperor Wu level forbidden lands, and only one Sovereign Martial Emperor level forbidden land. Ao Jiao, help me check the periphery first and choose a route for me. Xiao Qian did not have much time. Right now, he needed to comprehend the Taiji Dao and the Saber domain, which focused on the saber. Any time he could save would be a gain. Ao Jiao flew out of the Immortal Spirit Ring and grabbed the map. She smiled and said, leave it to me. After saying that, Ao Jiao silently flew out like a dancing spirit. As Xiao Qian watched her leave, his lips curled up in a faint smile. On an island in the deep sea that led to a crack in the demonic world, Chu Chaoyan sat cross-legged with a sword on his back. His eyes were closed as if he was waiting for someone. Whoosh! After a while, A wind demon wrapped in a golden shield spread its wings and flew through the sky at lightning speed, moving even faster than a meteor. The air cannot stop it at all. Chu Chaoyan opened his eyes and entered deep thought. He failed. Even with Feng Zi working with Yao Manlan, he could not obtain the remaining half of the Sky Dome Heart. It looks like he returned. What a coincidence. However, this is fine as well. If this Feng Zi really obtained it, it will be much more troublesome for me to retrieve it in the future. Revealing a smile, Chu Chaoyan slowly stood up and paced around. Since only one person returned, it meant that Yao Manlan was captured. This was a major matter. Xiaochen wondered what Lung Yu would do. Yao Manlan could be considered her disciple. Interesting. After this failure, the Bushin Palace should be on guard. The 18 demon monarchs would probably not send more people to make a move. However, great chaos was about to descend. This storm could not stop. I should make my final preparations. 10,000 years is a cycle. I really look forward to the final battle with you. Don't die so early. After learning that Feng Zi did not obtain the Sky Dome Heart, Chu Chaoyan was in a good mood. His figure flashed, vanishing from the island. There were 10 half-step Emperor Wu grade forbidden lands in the Sky Dome Immortal realm. Due to A.O. Jiao's advanced scouting, Xiaochen only spent half a month to explore them all. Other than killing a few difficult Xian beasts and obtaining a few Xian cores, he had gained nothing. He hadn't even seen a small magical power, let alone a great magical power. As for an even stronger supreme magical power, there was no need to even dream about it. 10 failures with nothing to show for it had severely dampened Xiao Chen's spirits. Before this, he was filled with anticipation. Who would have thought that this would be the result? Magic skills were hard to find. Even though this was once the Sky Dome Immortal Lord's residence, it was too difficult to find it after millions of years. There are also for Emperor Wu, level forbidden areas. I hope I won't come back empty-handed. Following the map, Xiaochen arrived at the first Emperor Wu, level forbidden area. An icy lake appeared in Xiao Chen's line of sight. Cold chi assaulted him, but it did not freeze. It was incredibly mysterious. I could not endure this icy lake after descending to 1 kilometer. I did not receive any attacks, but I did not obtain any information, A.O. Jiao said. Xiao Chun frowned and said, "This temperature is very harmful to the body. Even the Emperor Wu golden body cannot endure it completely. It is already very incredible that you could descend to 1 kilometer. In that case, you only have a half-step golden body. Isn't that even worse? Hence, I can only stay in there for half a day at most. After that, I have to leave." Splash! Xiao Chun fell into the lake. The first 100 meters were fine. After 500 meters, he had to circulate his energy to protect his body. After 1 kilometer, cold chi invaded his body. Aside from circulating his energy to protect his body, Xiaochen also had to deal with this cold chi. However, it was fortunate that the cold chi did not increase in intensity. He could still endure it as long as it did not persist for too long. After descending for 3 kilometers, Xiao Chun finally stepped on the ground. The ground was covered with a thick layer of ice, which was very solid. In the lake, Xiao Chun knocked on the ice, but there was no sound at all. He turned his head and looked around. In this lake, there was a kind of crystal-clear ice fish. They were not large in size and looked very docile. There were many of them, and they did not seem to be afraid of Xiao Chun. They swam above and around him without any scruples. "There's nothing here. It looks like I came here for nothing again." Xiao Chun stood up, creating a series of bubbles and gurgling sounds. However, this fish was not bad. Perhaps he could catch a few and roast them. They would definitely be delicious. Being able to live in such a cold place, there might be other unexpected miraculous effects. In this emperor-level forbidden land, aside from the extreme cold, Xiao Chun did not find anything special. He had already lost interest and could only set his sights on the ice fish. Hey, this fish is so cute. Why do I want to eat them? In the end, this suggestion caused A.O. Jiao to protest. Xiao Chun directly ignored it. When he really roasted them, that foodie A.O. Jiao would definitely be drooling. With sharp eyes and quick hands, Xiao Chun reached out and grab an ice fish that passed by him. In the end, his hand slipped, and the fish's tail gently swayed, slipping out of his hand. I actually failed to catch it. However, since I'm here, I definitely can't return empty-handed. Xiao Chun was very patient. In the end, the ice fish slipped out of his hand several times, and he could not hold it at all. Moreover, these ice fish were not afraid at all. They even spat at him. I don't believe that I can't catch them. Xiao Chun was a little angry. He released a trace of killing intent in his heart, and it began to spread in the lake. Whoosh! However, it did not matter. The following situation made Xiao Chun afraid. The moment he released his killing intent, the entire bottom of the lake suddenly quietened down. Tens of thousands of ice fish stopped swimming. They turned their heads and looked at him silently. No matter how one looked at it, this situation seemed a little strange. Ao Jiao, why do I feel that something is wrong? My skin feels like it's on fire, but I don't feel any pain at all. Xiao Chun rolled up his sleeves and took a look. He saw a layer of frost on his skin. With a gentle touch, large patches of frost fell off. Even his bones could be seen. This scene made his face pale. His hair stood on end, and he felt a chill run down his back. Earlier, the ice fish did not spit saliva. It was clearly an extremely high-grade ice fire. Even his half-step golden body could not withstand it. Two. Tens of thousands of ice fish opened their mouths at the same time. Streams of saliva like ice fire shot at him like bullets. Xiao Chun was scared half to death. He had never panicked like this before. He executed his movement technique to the extreme and quickly swam up. Fortunately, the shoal of ice fish did not chase after him. After they chased him away, the bottom of the lake regained its calm. Xiao Chun, who was covered in ice and fire, broke out of the water. When he landed, he immediately activated the solar true flame in his right eye and covered his entire body, eliminating the layer of fire on the surface. After that, he spent a lot of effort, even using his primordial energy to eliminate all the ice and fire in his body. Fortunately, he discovered it early, and the ice and fire did not seep into his meridians or internal organs. Otherwise, he would have been in big trouble. Ao Jiao could not stop laughing at Xiao Chun's embarrassing state, scolding him. Who told you to be greedy? I already told you not to catch those ice fish. Now you know the consequences, right? Xiao Chun felt somewhat embarrassed. After being chased away by a shoal of ice fish that looked down on him, he did not have the face to argue. However, Xiao Chun's interest in this cold water lake intensified. He had never heard of an ice fish that could spit fire. Furthermore, it was such a mysterious ice fire. What exactly made this shoal of ice fire change? When Ao Jiao saw Xiao Chun preparing and wanting to go back into the water, she quickly stopped him. Hey, you still want to go down? Are you really unwilling to die without being able to eat fish? Xiao Chun smiled. Silly, am I that greedy? There is definitely something strange about this cold water lake. Have you ever heard of an ice fish that can spit fire? However, if there's an opportunity, I will definitely catch a few. My instincts tell me that the ice fish are delicious. Furthermore, they have other uses. TSK, you are still greedy. No matter what, Xiao Chun went back into the water again. This time, he learned his lesson and did not expose his killing chi. The gentle ice fish ignored Xiao Chun. Perhaps it was because the shoal of ice fish was too strong and did not fear him at all. Xiao Chun walked on the ice at the chilly bottom of the lake, calmly observing the shoal of ice fish. When one looked at the peaceful bottom of the lake, one would find it very beautiful. The water plants swayed gently with motes of spiritual light. The gentle and beautiful shoal of fish swam around. If Xiao Chun were an ink painter, he would definitely use a brush to properly record this beautiful scene. Aside from the ice fish, there were no other large creatures at the bottom of the lake. This shoal of ice fish was the absolute tyrant of the vast lake bottom. Just think about it. Even Xiao Chun had to retreat after the shoal of ice fish flared up, leaving in a sorry state. What profound beast would dare to provoke them? How cold? Half a day is almost up, and I have not discovered anything. I have to go back up. Xiao Chun wanted to stay behind. However, the cold chi was too strong, injuring his body. He could not stay for long. However, the moment Xiao Chun swam up, he discovered that the entire shoal of fish were swimming quickly in one direction. They were not panicking. Instead, the shoal of fish gave off a cheerful aura. I should have stopped looking for food. Whoosh! Xiao Chun leaped out of the lake water and casually dried his clothes. Then he sat down cross-legged and started to expel the cold qi in his body. Let me see what exactly this cold qi is. Why is it so powerful? With a thought, Xiao Chun sent all the cold qi in his body to his palm. A misty mist came out his right palm. However, after all the cold qi was expelled from his body, it slowly gathered into a flame. The mist in his palm slowly condensed into a flame, exactly the same as the ice fish's saliva. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up as he entered deep thought. The flame in the ice fish's body is indeed not innate. It has something to do with this lake. Xiao Chun, who was even more determined, dove into the water once more. Then, he followed the direction that the ice fish swam to where they were looking for food. There was a patch of grass giving off motes of light. The branches and leaves of the water plants were covered with something that looked like dew, giving off a cold spiritual light. The food of the ice fish was this dew. As the ice fish ate, the motes of light dwindled. What is this? Xiao Chun asked in shock. Ao Jiao's eyes lit up. How beautiful! Quickly, swim over and take a look. Xiao Chun felt equally anxious. However, he still retained his rationality. Be careful, for this place to be known as Emperor Wu's Forbidden Land is not that simple. Chapter 1296. I feel that we might have found a treasure this time. Little Ao Jiao nodded her head vigorously. Her smiling face was filled with anticipation. The 10 half-step Emperor Wu grade Forbidden Lands had been empty-handed. The two of them were rather dispirited. Now that they had made a discovery, they naturally could not contain their excitement. After observing for a long time, they discovered that the ice fishes eating were all very relaxed, not showing any signs of worry. Xiao Chun made his decision and swam over silently. However, he was still very careful, not daring to relax at all. The water plants stretched out as far as the eye could see. Humans were as insignificant as ants in this place. Xiao Chun observed carefully and discovered that the roots of the water plants did not penetrate into the ice. Instead, they were intertwined like a fishing net, crisscrossing and looking very complicated. However, Ao Jiao did not have as many worries as Xiao Chun. She was currently holding a jade bottle and working hard to collect these spiritual light dew beads, very busy. If only little Yellow Feather was here. Looking at the lonely Ao Jiao, this thought appeared in Xiao Chen's mind for no reason. Unfortunately, the solar divine flame, a legendary divine item, had long gone extinct. Ao Jiao, do you know what this is? Xiao Chun asked as he collected his thoughts and swam over. Hee, I don't know. Ao Jiao replied without turning her head. Collecting these cold light dew beads was even more difficult than collecting the dew from the mountains. One needed to be very focused. Xiao Chun smiled and sent a voice projection. You don't even know? Why are you so happy collecting them? Stupid. Didn't you discover what's special about these dew beads? Cold, extremely cold. If you can collect enough of this dew, it would be more suitable for quenching than any water I know. Quenching. This was the final step in the forging of any weapon. Xiao Chun only recalled it after hearing Ao Jiao's reminder. No wonder Ao Jiao had been thinking about the materials needed for forging a divine weapon. She would definitely have thought of this step before him. If we use these spiritual light dew beads to quench the water, the quality of the divine weapon will increase by at least 30%. Hearing Ao Jiao's words, Xiao Chen's face lit up, and he immediately joined in the collection. This was indeed an unexpected harvest. Although he did not obtain a magic skill, the mysterious dew he obtained would greatly increase the chances of the lunar shadow saber entering the divine weapon ranking in the future. Although collecting the mysterious dew was troublesome, he would get used to it after a few times. Xiao Chen quickly thought of a solution. He spread out his saber domain and everything within 1 kilometer was under his control. Under his control, the tiny dewdrops shot into the jade bottle in his hand like bullets. Ao Jiao was not envious of such a simple and crude method. She preferred to collect them one by one. It gave her a special sense of accomplishment. While the two of them were happily busy with their work, they didn't notice that the large shoal of ice fishes had quietly dispersed, even though it was obvious that they hadn't eaten their fill. "Xiao Chun, we should have collected enough dew," Ao Jiao said with a smile as she held her jade bottle. Xiao Chun glanced at the vast field of water plants and smiled. "There's no rush. This is a vast treasure trove. We have not even obtained 1/10,000th of it." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the seaweed beneath their feet suddenly moved, shooting up like a fishing net. Before the two of them could react, the seaweed suddenly moved. Before the two of them could react, the water plants wrapped around their limbs, continuously pulling them upward. Xiaoqin's expression changed drastically. He did not rush to free himself. Instead, he shouted at Ao Jiao, "Quickly come in." A light flashed, and Ao Jiao turned into a sharp beam of light and entered the lunar shadow saber. Xiao Chun relaxed and calmly observed his current situation. Water plants covered tens of thousands of kilometers around. The water plants for tens of thousands of kilometers weaved into a net, looking like flower petals. Break! The situation was urgent. Xiao Chun gathered the saber intent in his saber domain and held the lunar shadow saber in a reverse grip. Then, he looked around his left hand. However, to his surprise, the water plants were not hard. However, they were unimaginably tough, giving his unstoppable saber a strong resistance. After a long time, Xiao Chun finally managed to extricate himself from the water plants. However, he was already surrounded by them. The water plants were densely packed, layered over each other. Xiao Chun, who wanted to charge out, chopped down one layer. However, there was another layer. The surroundings were filled with dewy water plants. The dewy water droplets gathered and settled down, looking like a misty flame. How troublesome. Am I going to be trapped here? Xiao Chun tried many times. However, he discovered that no matter what he did, he could not chop down all the water plants in one go and create an opening. As for breaking space, there was a strange pressure in this cold water. The structure of space was even more stable than in the Kunlun realm. I only have one move left, Xiao Chun thought. That move gathered everything in the saber domain onto the saber. However, Xiao Chun had not succeeded even once. He was not confident of using it at this critical moment. Xiao Chun, don't panic. There is an exit above. There is still an exit above. At the crucial moment, Ao Jiao's voice rang out in his mind. That was right. The water plants soared into the air from the ice and gathered together. As long as they did not completely gather together, there would always be an exit above. Go! Every second counted. Xiao Chun executed his movement technique to its limits. He became like a purple lightning dragon leaping into the air. The instant all the water plants gathered together, Xiao Chun leaped out in the time it took for a spark to fly. Then, he soared up and landed heavily on the ice. The lunar shadow saber could not stab into the ice. Due to inertia, Xiao Chun tumbled back 1 kilometer before he flipped over and stood up. Xiao Chun stood upright while holding his saber. The fatigued Xiao Chun did not relax after escaping. Instead, he warily looked to the front. The water plant was 10 kilometers tall. Its roots were very thick. As it stood tall on the ice, it pierced deep into the ice. The water plant was 10 kilometers tall, and its roots were very thick. As it stood tall on the ice, it pierced deep into the ice. A faint fiery light flowed on the surface of the water plant. When the amount of the mysterious dew reached billions of grains, it actually formed a terrifying ice flame. This also explained why Xiao Chun and the others had collected so much dew but had not condensed it into a flame. The quantity was far from enough. What kind of flame is this? Why do I feel that it is even stronger than the lunar true flame? Ao Jiao revealed a strange expression in her eyes, unable to understand it. Flames were divided into yin and yang. Of the Yin flames, the lunar true flame was undoubtedly the strongest. However, before the primal chaos split, before Yin and Yang were separated, there should have been flames in the universe. This mysterious flame, before Shao Chun, should be one of the flames that existed during the primal chaos of the universe. In terms of grade, it was no weaker than the lunar true flame. This was a flame seed that the Sky Dome Immortal Lord personally found in the great universe during the Immortal epic. As for what this flame was called, Shao Chun did not know. After so much time had passed, such a cosmic-level flame no longer existed. The only reason he knew about this fragmented information was because he had read about it in an extremely ancient, incomplete book. He looked at the thick layer of ice under his feet. Even a lunar shadow saber could not split it. Shao Chun guessed that there had to be a flame seed here. Furthermore, that water plant was also a divine item from the Immortal epic. To think that it could take root in the ice and grow such a large patch of water plants. Just this point alone was sufficient to show how extraordinary it was. Great, great, great. Although I did not find a magic skill, my harvest today is even greater than finding a magic skill. Shao Chun revealed excitement in his eyes, feeling incomparably joyful. However, the problem now was how to make a move. Be it this water plant or the flame seed hidden somewhere, they would not be easy to obtain. Shao Chun, what should we do? Ao Jiao asked unwillingly as she flew out and looked at the mysterious water plant. The feeling of seeing a treasure but not being able to obtain it was unbearable. Faced with Ao Jiao's problem, Shao Chun did not have a good solution. There's no rush. Let's take it slow. This water plant should scatter. When it scatters, I'll think of something. It is too dangerous to go over now. After thinking for a while, Shao Chun swung the lunar shadow saber at the roots of the water plant with a whoosh. While this looked like a casual toss, in reality, Shao Chun used his full power. He drove most of the remaining primordial energy in his body and infused it into the saber. Before Shao Chun's expectant gaze, the lunar shadow saber instantly descended. It gave off an unparalleled sharp saber intent and stabbed the ice by 2 centimeters. Let's go. Shao Chun only wanted to leave a mark. As long as he succeeded, it would be fine. He had exhausted a lot of his primordial energy. Now, he had no choice but to leave. The instant Shao Chun left the water again, he truly relaxed. He fell to the ground and did not get up. He just lay there and rested. Each time he entered the water, he was frightened to death. This simple forbidden land exhausted him. What a beautiful flower bud. In his half-asleep state, Shao Chun heard Ao Jiao's soft cry. So he quickly opened his eyes. Shao Chun saw a golden, translucent stem about 1 millimeter thick in the middle of the lake. At the tip of the stem, there was an exquisite flower bud that looked like a bell. The flower bud was pale white, and its stem was as thin as silk. There were hundreds or thousands of them hanging down, looking like white snow, pure and beautiful. Unexpectedly, this was the scene of the huge water plant after it crossed the lake. Shao Chun's mind trembled, and he stood up, no longer feeling sleepy. Back on Heavenly Star Island, for the sake of dealing with the fake Buddhist sect that the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva supported, Shao Chun had read some Buddhist scriptures. This flower bud looked like one of the 3 holy masters' flowers, the Adumbra flower. The other 2 were the Azura lotus and the Brahma cloud bodhi. The 3 holy masters' flowers of the Buddhist sects, aside from the status they represented and their various mythical origins, each of them had boundless, wondrous uses. The lotus cultivates the magic skills, the bodhi comprehends the Tao, and the holy king appears when the flower blooms. The first 2 sentences were easy to understand. It was just that cultivating on the lotus could increase one's cultivation. Using the bodhi to comprehend the Tao could strengthen the kamic core, achieving twice the results with half the effort. The flower blooms, and in that instant, a holy king will undergo nirvanic rebirth. In layman's terms, the flower can bloom and be reborn, which is equivalent to having another life. It turns out that there's an Adumbra flower seed under the ice. No wonder it can penetrate the ice and bloom everywhere. At this moment, Xiao Qin's expression turned incredibly grave. No matter what, he had to obtain this seed. If it really had the effect of rebirth, then no matter how difficult his great tribulation of wind and fire was, he would have a 99% chance of clearing it. However, even after using his full power, he could only break through 2 centimeters of the ice. He could not extract the Udumbra flower seed at all. Chapter 1297. How hateful! All along, Xiao Chun had thought that his offensive prowess was already strong enough, that he would be undefeatable in this Sky Dome realm. Unexpectedly, at the most crucial moment, when the treasure was right before him, he could only stare at it. That was a divine item that could help him deal with his great tribulation of wind and fire. It was much more useful than any magic skill, Emperor-grade secret treasure, or martial technique. What to do? What to do? What to do? Xiao Chun anxiously paced back and forth on the ground, going round and round. Even he himself did not notice that his expression had become a little scary. What's going on? Why did Xiao Chun suddenly become like a berserker? Xiao Chen's appearance frightened Ao Jiao. Her expression changed as she looked at the thousands of snow-colored flower buds gently floating on the water. Is it because of these flower buds? Whoosh! Ao Jiao waved her hand and sent out a strand of saber chi. It flew close to the surface of the lake towards those slender golden stalks, trying to chop them all off. The thousands of stalks swayed and entered the water, avoiding this strand of saber chi. Xiao Chen's mind buzzed, and he suddenly startled awake. His complexion recovered, and he asked somewhat blankly, "What happened to me earlier?" Ao Jiao's face lit up in joy. "Xiao Chun, you were enchanted by those flower buds earlier. Your expression was very scary, like you were about to become a berserker." The Udumbra flower. This startled Xiao Chun. This flower was not simple. According to legend, only those with great beneficence in the Buddha world could subdue it. It looked like that was true. He nearly fell for it. A strong wind blew, and the Udumbra flower bud reappeared on the water. It was still as beautiful and pure as before, looking like falling snow. Xiao Qin calmed himself and carefully felt it. He discovered that his mental state had indeed changed without him realizing it. An urgent thought appeared in Xiao Qin's mind, an impulse to obtain this flower at all costs. Something is wrong, Xiao Chun analyzed rationally. After all, a legend is a legend. Whether the effect of rebirth is real or not still needs to be verified. Given my mental state, I should be tempted, but I should not be so rash. It looks like there is indeed something wrong with this flower. He closed his eyes and guarded his heart. After a long time, he finally suppressed that impulse. When Zhang Xian opened his eyes again, the flower bud had already disappeared. Presumably, the huge aquatic plants below had all dispersed. What kind of flower is this? It's so scary. Ao Jiao revealed a serious expression and asked solemnly. Xiao Chun murmured, "The appearance of the epiphyllum is a fleeting moment of beauty, a nirvanic rebirth. This is the Udumbra flower that even Buddha would be moved by." Then should we still go down? Xiao Chen's expression was decisive as he said calmly, "Yes, we must obtain this Udumbra flower seed. As long as there's a 10% chance, we have to do our best to get it. Nirvana and rebirth. No one could resist such temptation." Even though he knew that this flower was not simple, Xiao Chun was still tempted. However, at this moment, he was more open to it. He would follow his heart, do his best, and adapt to the circumstances. He would not fall into madness again. When Xiao Chun arrived at the vast patch of aquatic plants at the bottom of the lake, he immediately saw the lunar shadow saber stuck in the ice. Xiao Chun pushed off with his feet and leaped up in the lake, arriving before the lunar shadow saber with a few leaps. Then, he pulled out the lunar shadow saber and sheathed it. Slowly, Xiao Chun squatted down and observed the aquatic plants at the side. Looking at the seaweed next to it, all the other seaweeds were sticking to the ice. Only this seaweed was deeply rooted in the ice, growing tenaciously. Xiao Chun, who had already seen the huge aquatic plants, knew that this patch of aquatic plants grew because of this. The Udumbra flower would not produce the mysterious ice fire. It was very likely that the flame seed that Xiao Chan was looking for was under this Adumber flower seed. As long as he obtained the Adumber flower seed, he would be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, obtaining the flame seed of the mysterious ice fire. Xiao Chen reached out and grabbed the bottom of the aquatic plant. It did not budge. Then he slowly increased his strength, but it still did not budge. Xiao Chen let go and stood up. With a thought, Xiao Chen drove his primordial energy. Then he pushed aside the surrounding 1 kilometer of lake water, forming an area no different from land. Taking out the formation plate, Xiao Chen started to carve the Iron Defense Magic Formation. After a while, an Iron Defense Magic Formation appeared, encasing the surrounding 1 kilometer. After activating the formation, a golden ring of light appeared. This way, even if Xiao Chen did not use his primordial energy, the small Iron Defense Magic Formation could help isolate the lake water. Xiao Chen spread out his saber domain, filling the surrounding 1 kilometer with his saber intent. Xiao Chen drew the lunar shadow saber and hacked at lightning speed, driving 100 strands of primordial energy at the same time. Accompanying this saber strike was Xiao Chen's horrifying King's Chi. This was already the peak saber strike that Xiao Chen could execute without using a martial technique. When the saber struck the surface of the ice, the force spread out, causing the entire frostwater lake to shake, creating wave after wave of water. However, the saber only managed to chop off a layer of ice. When Xiao Chen scraped away the ice, he discovered that the water plant was only half an inch above the surface. This peak saber strike of mine can be swung 100 times at most. Any more, and I will overdraw my energy. If I continue like this, before I can obtain the Adumber flower seed, I will end up killing myself. It looks like I have to comprehend that saber strike. Xiao Chen thought to himself. Only by advancing the saber domain to another level can I chop apart this layer of ice. Otherwise, I will only be able to see the 2 treasures but not touch them. I'll just treat it as cultivating. It's just a change of location. Xiao Chen stopped thinking and slowly calmed down. Then he slowly experienced everything in the saber domain, comprehending his understanding of the saber. Within 1 kilometer, the light slowly shrank. It looked like darkness was spreading, shrinking inward. Everything sank into the most primal darkness. Soon, the lower half of Xiao Chen's body sank into darkness. Then, the darkness swallowed him up, leaving only the lunar shadow saber shining with a cold light. Whoosh! Everything that Xiao Chen collected receded like the receding tide. Failure. Another failure at the final step. How to gather the energy of this saber domain in the saber. Not afraid. Again, drenched in sweat, Xiao Chen clenched his teeth and endured his fatigue, continuing to try again. Failure. Failure, failure. Countless failures prevented him from seeing the path to success. Senior Lan Xiaofeng's words seemed to echo in Xiao Chen's ears. Saber domain, saber domain. Use the domain as the main and the saber as support. You cannot put the cart before the horse. Damn it, is this really not possible? As a bladesman, if I use the saber as support and lose confidence in the saber, how am I going to hold the saber in the future? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. A bladesman has to use the saber as the main. The so-called using the saber as support was just the Kunlun realm's Emperor Wu being too narrow-minded. Xiao Chen's heart did not waver. Persevering on his own Tao, Xiao Chen tried again and again. He even forgot the purpose of this trip. He immersed himself in comprehending the Tao. Just as he was about to lose all hope, he tried again. Everything within 1,000 meters was plunged into darkness. A strong saber intent surged out from Xiao Chen's body in his sea of consciousness and quickly gathered at the heart of an emperor. Kassier. Kassier. It was like a sharp divine weapon was being forged in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. It gave off melodious metallic clangs as it slowly took shape. It was like he was reborn. He felt like he was reacquainted with the world, understanding what the saber was. When the metallic clangs stopped, a small golden appeared in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. It looked solid and gave off an immortal light. It was like the sun illuminating the entire sea of consciousness, filled with explosive energy. The small golden that contained a strong and horrifying energy. With a thought, the golden dot of light suddenly exploded. Light burst forth. In this dark world, Xiao Qian's eyes suddenly burst forth with a sharp light, lighting up the dark space. Following that, beams of golden light shot out from Xiao Qian's entire body. The golden light contained an unparalleled saber intent. Xiao Qian looked like a treasured saber that had just been baptized. Feeling the energy in his body, Xiao Qian hacked down with his saber, landing in the center of the water plants. Pussy Eye. With this saber strike, the hard ice finally split in half and sank continuously. When the light faded, Xiao Qian was covered in sweat. He felt incredibly delighted, immersed in excitement. I succeeded. I succeeded. The small golden dot in Xiao Qian's sea of consciousness was no longer there. However, the entire sea of consciousness was bathed in a layer of golden light. Xiao Qian felt that the small golden would soon rise up from his sea of consciousness like the sun. However, this was not the time to think about this. There were more important things to do. Xiao Qian stomped his foot ferociously, and the ice cracked with a crisp sound. Xiao Qian's eyes shone like torches as he looked carefully. 1 kilometer away, a clump of dense, flowing flames wrapped around a snow-white seed. That's it, the Adumbrous seed. Indeed, it was as Xiao Qian expected. Everything in the entire frostwater lake originated from that mysterious flame and ice seed. Be it the hard ice, the strange ice fish, the clumps of water plants, or the frostwater dew, everything originated from here. Joy appeared in Xiao Qian's eyes. After suffering comes happiness. I gained a lot on this trip. Xiao Qian stretched out his hand, preparing to pull up the entire flame seed. That way, everything would end satisfactorily. However, just at this moment, something strange happened. The entire ice surface suddenly shook intensely. Following that, the ice quickly crumbled, breaking into countless pieces that floated in the water. Xiao Qian's small iron defense magic formation was immediately destroyed, and he fell over. Bang! Xiao Qian landed on the ground. This time, it was real mud and not the cold ice. Xiao Qian, who had flipped himself up, was confused by this strange turn of events. He quickly retreated, trying to figure out his current situation. When Xiao Qian looked forward, he was immediately stunned by the scene before him. How can this be? A 1 kilometer tall Buddha statue appeared before Xiao Qian. The Buddha statue wore a golden kasaya, and Buddhist prayer beads hung from its right thumb. Its left hand held a clump of flame. This was the mysterious ice flame seed that Xiao Qian saw earlier. The flame seed wrapped around the snow-white Adumbrous seed. The feeling that the Buddha statue gave Xiao Qian was not like it was carved. Instead, it gave him a sense of déjà vu. Right, that's right. Xiao Qian recalled that he had indeed seen it before. The feeling that the Buddha statue gave him was very similar to the huge immortal statues in the Kunlun realm's heavenly starry ocean. The immortal statues were controlled by the treasure master and turned into a market on the sea. However, compared to the immortal statues, this Buddha statue was much smaller, only 1 kilometer tall. Chapter 1298. A scene of the immortal epic appeared in Xiao Qian's mind. This Buddha overestimated himself and barged into the Sky Dome immortal residence, wanting to be unbridled. In the end, the Sky Dome immortal lord casually sent down a magic skill and sealed this Buddha in ice for 10 kilometers around, sealing it until now. Perhaps Xiao Qian had been wrong at the start. The hard ice did not come from that mysterious flame seed, but from one of the Sky Dome immortal lord's magic skills. Fate came and went. This was probably the truth. After the end of an epoch, millions of years later, the might of the magic skill weakened significantly. Furthermore, the Adumbrous seed sprouted, weakening the might of the magic skill once more. Hence, Xiao Qian destroyed the entire magic skill. Looks like after you died, there was still a formless force field preventing the lake water from falling. You must have been someone of the Buddhist sect back then. Sorry for offending you. This junior will be borrowing the flame seed and the Adumbrous seed. Xiaoqin stretched out his hand and waved, collecting the flame seed into the immortal spirit ring. Boom! The instant the flame seed left the Buddha image's palm, the 1-kilometer-tall Buddha image in front suddenly crumbled into pieces. The Buddha's prayer beads on its hand, the kasaya draped over its body, and the magic shoes on its feet all shattered. A pearl flickered with light amid the pile of fragments, hovering in the air. A Buddhist saraira. Xiao Chun was mildly startled. A saraira was a holy item that only an esteemed monk would leave behind. There was a glowing human figure behind the pearl. It was a miniature Buddha image. However, it was more lively, not as stiff as before. Its eyes even shone with an intelligent light. Rings of Buddhist light appeared behind the light figure, looking solemn and dignified, transcendent and holy. Many thanks, benefactor, for freeing me from the sea of bitterness, the light figure said. Unexpectedly, it was still alive. Xiao Chan took a step back, and his expression immediately turned cautious as he spread out his saber domain. The light figure of the Buddha image smiled faintly and said in an amiable tone, "Benefactor, there is no need to be nervous. I am just a remnant soul and will be reincarnating soon. The Buddhists pay particular attention to fate. I have been trapped here for an unknown period of time. Being rescued by you is fate. It's a pity that you're not a member of my Buddhist sect. Otherwise, you would be able to learn all of the magical techniques in my saraira." Xiao Chan could tell that this Buddha before him was different from the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva and Zhuangjinghe that he had seen before. This Buddha was not an evil Buddha. He immediately dropped his guard and said calmly, "Senior is too polite. I only did this unintentionally. It is already enough for me to obtain the fire seed and the Adumbrous seed. But now that the immortal Tao no longer exists, reincarnation is no longer possible." The Buddha's statue shook its head. "Epochs come and go. As long as the heavenly Tao exists, reincarnation exists. You can't feel it, but I can. Although I can't let you inherit my mantle, I can teach you a divine ability." Whoosh! A beam of light shot out from the saraira and hit Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. Suddenly, a lot of complicated information appeared in his mind. It was a mystical ability called Dharma World. This is Dharma World. There are similar divine powers in the Taoist sections. Teaching it to you won't be breaking the rules of the Buddhist sections. The Buddhists talk about fate and believe in karma. I can see some Buddhist karma in you. Perhaps we can meet again in the future. Xiao Chun comprehended the mystical ability of Dharma World. It was a genuine major magic ability. Joy immediately filled his heart as he quickly thanked the Buddha statue. "Senior, please leave behind your Dharma name." The Buddha statue smiled amiably and said, "A Dharma name is a name given to those who convert to my Buddha section, so I have not used my Dharma name in a long time, so I don't remember it anymore. You can call me Mahesvara Buddha." Mahesvara Buddha? Xiao Chun was startled. This was a true Buddha, an existence even stronger than Bodhisattvas. This was equivalent to an immortal lord among immortal cultivators, possessing an extremely high status. It looked like Xiao Chen's earlier guess was wrong. "I do not have much time. I will give you two things. Since you obtained the heavenly snow divine flame's fire seed, remember to nourish it properly. Its rank has already fallen too much. As for that Adumbrous seed, whether you can obtain it or not will depend on your fate. Don't force it and enter the demonic Tao." The figure of light pressed his palms together and said, "Amit Ba," before turning into countless motes of light and disappearing. Whoosh! The instant the Buddha image vanished, the lake water that filled the sky poured down. Xiao Chen reacted quickly. He grabbed the saraira and soared into the air. Without the ice, there was still the Adumbra flower, as well as this mysterious Mahesvara Buddha. This place was no longer a forbidden land. Xiao Chen's movement technique was no longer restricted. With a thought, he landed on the shore. As Xiao Chen looked at the ice shards floating on the water, he revealed an expression of deep joy. On this trip to the Forbidden Land, there were many twists and turns, nearly losing his life a few times. However, The final harvest was startling. Not only did he obtain the mysterious heavenly snow divine flames fire seed and the Adumbrous seed, but he also obtained a magic ability. As for the Saraira in his hand, it was originally the most valuable. It contained the Mahesvara Buddha's various magic abilities and the essence of his lifetime of comprehension. However, Xiao Chan was not a Buddhist sect member, so he could only keep it as a decoration. Otherwise, he would have made a huge profit. Delightful. This trip was not in vain, Xiao Chan said happily as he smiled, feeling refreshed. Ao Jiao, who was in the Immortal Spirit Ring, said, Xiao Chun, do you know how to refine the heavenly snow divine flame? Xiao Chun smiled without thinking much of it. I don't know. However, you will know when you go to the Kunlun realm. Mo Chun definitely knows how to refine such a divine item. Let's not care about that for now. There are still 2 treasures in this lake. Let's collect them all. What are they? Of course, one is the dew from the heavenly snow divine flame. The other is the absolutely delicious ice fish. You're still not willing to let go of the ice fish? Xiao Chun laughed loudly and said, that is natural. One should not have any regrets in life. One has to try everything. If I don't eat such delicacies, the heavens will not tolerate it. I'm ignoring you. I'll go collect the dew. You go catch the fish yourself. It's fine. Just don't leave any saliva behind when the time comes. Taking advantage of the limelight, Xiao Chun gently pushed off the water and landed on a piece of floating ice. He saw many ice fish swimming on the surface of the water. Right now, the bottom of the lake was in chaos. Shock waves surged, and the environment changed drastically. These ice fish needed to come up. A relaxed smile appeared on Xiao Chen's face as he said softly, come out. Bang! Xiao Chun threw a palm strike, and the surface of the water immediately exploded, blasting thousands of ice fish out. The ice fish opened their mouths and spat out streams of ice fire that looked like saliva. Then, they flew toward Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun smiled faintly. This land was different from the lake bottom. His movement technique was much more nimble. Xiao Chen's feet instantly moved on the ice, dodging the attacks one after another. Xiao Chen's hands moved as fast as lightning, grabbing at the ice fish. Illusory images of his hands layered over each other. His speed was dazzling. Plop, plop. Thousands of ice fish fell into the water. Xiao Chen's hands were empty. He did not manage to catch a single one. Xiao Chen appeared dispirited. He did not believe this. I don't believe it. I can already deal with Emperor Wu. I don't believe that I cannot deal with these insignificant ice fish. While Xiao Chen was happily and depressingly catching ice fish in this remote immortal realm forbidden land, the reinforcements sent by Bushin Palace arrived. Logically speaking, Bushin Palace should not have reacted so slowly. However, when Old Yun saw the reinforcements, he immediately understood. The people who came were actually the direct subordinates of the 3 holy masters. They were all cultivators with martial spirits like the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. Each of the 3 clans sent 300 people. All of them were peak martial sages, existences just one step shy of becoming the blue-robed emperor. As for the 3 people leading them, they were the peak half-step Emperor Wu of the Kunlun realm. They were equipped with peak grade king grade secret treasures and could fight with Emperor Wu without being at a disadvantage. With the 3 working together, it would be easy to kill the first heaven layer Emperor Wu. These were the elites of the 3 holy masters. This showed how much importance the 3 holy masters in charge of the Bushin Palace placed on this matter. Yun Fei greets the 3 lords. Sorry for not going out to meet you. Old Yun, the person in charge of the Sky Dome Palace, said in fear and trepidation. The 3 showed arrogant expressions, their faces dark and somewhat sullen. The white-haired old man in the middle was a direct subordinate of the White Tiger Holy Lord. His name was Qin Hu. He said coldly, Yun Fei, do you know your crimes? Yun Fei replied in horror, this old man does not know. What crimes have I committed? How presumptuous! You were careless and neglected your duties, causing the Sky Dome Palace to suffer heavy losses, at least 1,000 martial sages dying. Is this not a serious crime? This accusation startled old Yun. This accusation was too harsh. He knelt and said, This is simply because the opponent is too strong. It is not because we were careless. You are making excuses. On account of your loyalty to the Bushin Palace for so many years, I will give you a chance to make up for your mistakes. Old Yun rejoiced in his heart. Could it be that I can escape this calamity? Three lords, please speak clearly. Bai Yu, the direct subordinate of the Vermilion Bird Holy Lord, said, I heard that the Blue Dragon King barged into the Sky Dome Palace without a warrant, giving the demonic world's demonic spirits an opportunity to take advantage of, causing the Sky Dome Palace to suffer heavy losses. Is this true? Old Yun's heart sank. This meant that he was trying to frame the Blue Dragon King, Xiao Chun, on the floating ice. Naturally, Xiao Chun did not know that there was a conspiracy against him. He had already been completely engrossed in catching the ice fish. At first, he thought that these ice fish could escape his grasp only because of coincidence and the limitations of his movement technique at the bottom of the lake. However, he now understood that he was gravely mistaken. These insignificant ice fish were much more incredible than he had imagined. No matter how fast Xiao Chun moved, the ice fish would sense him the instant he got close to the fish. Then it would gently flick its tail and dodge him. These actions looked simple and nimble, but they were actually very profound. The technique involved was even more exquisite than Xiao Chen's Blue Dragon Cloud soaring art. The more Xiao Chen studied them, the more shocked he became. These fish were probably not ordinary fish. Of course, the ice fish's true name was not ice fish. Xiao Chun had casually named it after the ice. Xiao Chun had never seen such a crystal-clear fish with a docile character and a strong spiritual energy before. There were many profound beasts in the Sky Dome Immortal realm. All of them had immortal beast bloodlines in their bodies. This fish before him was no exception. Furthermore, the immortal beast bloodline was much denser than that of regular profound beasts. It would not be an exaggeration to call it an immortal fish. If I can comprehend this immortal fish's movement technique and make it my own, I can infuse it into my Thunder Dragon Steps. The essence of the Thunder Dragon Steps was explosive power, moving like lightning. As for this immortal fish's movement technique, it was good at dodging in an instant. The fusion of the two could be said to be flawless. Chapter 1299. Xiao Chun immediately took action when he thought of it. He started to carefully study the tricks of the immortal fish's dodging. While on the floating ice, Xiao Chun did not forget to cultivate the Taiji Dao. He used law energy to form a Taiji force field to help him comprehend the movement techniques of the immortal fish. Xiao Chen's comprehension ability was high in the first place. He could deduce many things from one instance without any difficulty, so he quickly progressed. The floating ice had melted long ago. A circular Taiji circle appeared on the surface of the lake. The immortal fish swam happily under the pull of the Taiji force field. Occasionally, the lake water exploded, and many ice fish soared into the air. In the force field, Xiao Chen's movements appeared slow, but were actually fast. As he attacked, he was like a blue dragon emerging from the sea, startling the sky with a startling aura. However, when Xiao Chen calmed down, space froze. His movements slowed as if time had stopped. Xiao Chen's every movement was broken down into countless small movements, forming many afterimages. As he comprehended the Tao, Xiao Chen's understanding of the Taiji Dao deepened continuously. This was especially so for fast and slow. Xiao Chen gained a new understanding. His eyes lit up as if he had gained a new lease on life. In the past few days, there had been an increasing number of immortal fish on the surface of the lake. Perhaps it was because of Xiao Chen's peaceful aura, but the Yu fishes liked to gather around Xiao Chun and tease Xiao Chun mischievously. The Yu fishes did not know that their good days were coming to an end. Over the past half-month or so, Xiao Chun had already comprehended their movement techniques. All that was left was to infuse them into his Thunder Dragon Steps. Then, he would form a brand new movement technique, the Fish Dragon Art. It's almost done. Fish and dragons have many transformations. Whether one is a fish or a dragon depends on a single thought. Fast, blue dragon emerging from the sea, startling the sky with one flight. Inside the Taiji force field, Xiao Chun first stepped on the lake's surface, causing thousands of fish to soar into the air. Then, he attacked at lightning speed, like a dragon soaring into the sky, startling the clouds in the sky. The immortal fish did not sense any threat. They behaved as before. The moment danger approached, they gently swung their tails and dodged this lightning-fast attack. Slow, spirit fish swings tail, concealing great skill. Their lightning-fast movements came to an abrupt stop, and the commotion in the surroundings came to an abrupt stop. Xiao Chen's body swayed gently, and his palm moved along with it, firmly grabbing the immortal fish that was swaying its tail. Xiao Chun smiled faintly. He should have been overjoyed after his success, but instead, he was calm. Let's see where you can run to now. The feast has begun. As Xiao Chun alternated between fast and slow, he executed the fish dragon art in an unpredictable manner. Every time he made a move, he never missed. Soon, many immortal fish appeared in the pool in the immortal spirit ring. Return. Xiao Chun stopped and dispersed the Taiji force field. As he stood on the surface of a lake, he seemed to have completely fused with the lake water. Not only did the immortal fish not leave, but they even swam towards Xiao Chun in groups. Plop, plop, plop. One by one, they jumped out of the water and moved their bodies. Xiao Chun smiled knowingly. They truly live up to being immortal fish. They know that the restrictions in this lake are gone, and there is no food left. Their flock will inevitably die. However, in the end, it was Xiao Chen's harmony with nature, his tranquil and peaceful Taoist demeanor, that made them choose to believe in Xiao Chun. Furthermore, they liked this scent. This was an instinctive choice made by the immortal beast bloodline in their bodies. Above the lake, Xiao Chun did not stop moving. He continuously executed the fish dragon art, collecting all the immortal fish into the immortal spirit ring. Plop, plop. Immortal fish continuously leaped out of the water. Immediately, tens of thousands of fish soared into the air, materializing a magnificent scene on the surface of the lake. When Ao Jiao, who had been forced out of the lake, saw this scene, she was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. What's going on? After a long time, Xiao Chun finally collected all the immortal fish in the lake. In this practical combat, his fish dragon art and Taiji Dao merged even more perfectly. Whoosh! His left hand was like a fish, and his right hand turned into a dragon. Two completely different auras appeared perfectly on Xiao Chen's body. A Taiji diagram covering the entire lake took shape. Two Taiji fishes, one black and one white, swam slowly on the surface of the lake like they were narrating the great Tao of the world. It was peaceful and peaceful. It was like one could hear the breathing of the entire world. A gentle breeze brushed aside Xiao Chen's fine black hair on his forehead, revealing his handsome face. Xiao Chen smiled faintly at Ao Jiao. Then, he lowered his hands, and the Taiji diagram disappeared. For some reason, Ao Jiao blushed, feeling her heart pounding heavily. However, after a while, she was startled once again. Boom! The originally peaceful scene on the lake vanished. Boundless waves surged into the sky, forming many majestic pillars of water. Then, they turned into a torrential downpour accompanied by strong winds. When the wind was strong, it could uproot mountains. When the rain was heavy, it could drown mountains and rivers. However, there were towering waves even stronger than the wind and rain. They rumbled like thunder, roaring endlessly, making the sky darken. The heavenly river shattered, and the wind blew, signaling the arrival of a storm. Between stillness and movement, Xiao Chen's Taiji Dao improved by another level. Xiao Chun rejoiced in his heart. As he walked in this torrential rain, he laughed wantonly, appearing wild and unruly. As the rain fell, Xiao Chen's clothes did not get wet. As the strong winds blew, they passed through his body. At the lakeshore, Ao Jiao watched this scene in a daze, deeply shocked by it. She was looking at this magnificent scenery a rare sight that appeared only once in 10,000 years. However, she did not know that she was also in this scenery. The beauty at the lakeshore was equally beautiful. If there were any outsiders present, they would definitely beg the heavens to borrow a divine brush to draw this painting of beauty in wind and rain. The wind was beautiful, the rain was beautiful, but the person watching the storm was even more beautiful. After a long time, the rain stopped. Xiao Chan set up a simple stove by the lakeshore, preparing to cook the fish. Xiao Chan was in a good mood. Let me tell you, the fish in the lake are extraordinary. They are even ancient immortal fish. If not for this fish, my Taiji Dao and movement technique would not have improved so quickly. Hence, in life, one has to try everything. If not for my obsession with eating fish, how could I have gained so much today? Am I right? Ao Jiao's lips curled up as she said, "It was just a stroke of luck. You praise that fish so much, but you still wanted to eat it." Xiao Chun smiled softly and said, "You don't understand. Living in this world, eating fish and meat is a barrier in the world cycle. If humans do not eat fish and meat, the heavenly Tao will collapse. I am not one of those hypocritical people. Why the need to put on an act? Of course, I will eat it if I want to. Stop spouting such fallacious reasoning. In any case, you are wrong to eat fish." Ao Jiao could not outtalk Xiao Chun. She pouted, looking extremely cute, showing off her tsundere nature. Xiao Chun smiled mysteriously. "If I told you that these fish would jump out on their own for me to eat, would you believe me?" Ao Jiao's eyes widened as she said sullenly, "That's impossible." Xiao Chun smiled and said, "In that case, watch carefully. Fish, oh fish. I, Xiao Chun, am hungry. Which one of you is willing to let me eat it to satisfy my appetite?" When Ao Jiao saw Xiao Chun putting on an act, she smiled and said, "Keep boasting. How can there be a fish that will jump out on its own for you to eat? I don't believe it." Plop! Right after Xiao Chun spoke, an immortal fish leaped out of the immortal spirit ring and landed in the pot. Plop! Plop! 4 more fish jumped into the pot. This miraculous scene stunned Ao Jiao. "They really jumped out. How did you do it? I want to try as well. This lady is much kinder than a baddie like you. I can definitely do it." Xiao Chun smiled without saying anything. He gestured for Xiao Chan to do as he pleased. Ao Jiao leaned over and said in a soft and gentle voice, "Fish, oh fish. Little Ao Jiao is hungry as well. Which one of you is willing to let me eat it to satisfy my appetite?" "Why is there no reaction?" Ao Jiao said, feeling it was strange as she looked at Xiao Chun. "Pooh!" Xiao Chun spat out some saliva from the immortal spirit ring and landed on Ao Jiao's face. Then there was another. After that, saliva poured out of the ring like rain. Xiao Chun got the fish, but Ao Jiao got the endless saliva. The results were very different. Such a scene made Xiao Chun laugh endlessly. Then he held his stomach and fell to the ground. "Damn you, Xiao Chun. I'm going to kill you." Ao Jiao wiped off the saliva on her face and launched herself at Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun nimbly dodged, laughing endlessly. He imitated Ao Jiao's tone and said, "Fish, oh fish. Little Ao Jiao is hungry as well. Which one of you is willing to let me eat?" Ao Jiao felt very frustrated. "Damn you, Xiao Chun. I'm going to fight it out with you. Z. Z." Occasionally, the pile of extinguished firewood gave off sizzling sounds. Strands of azure smoke wafted out, rising into the sky. "I'll eat, I'll eat, I'll eat." Amidst the thick fragrance, Ao Jiao seemed to have a grudge against the fish. She quickly finished off another delicious immortal fish. "One more. I hate this fish." Ao Jiao wiped her mouth and said fiercely to Xiao Chun. She wished she could eat Xiao Chun as well. After the earlier commotion, Ao Jiao could not do anything to Xiao Chun. After she got tired of chasing him, she could only watch as Xiao Chun cooked the fish. When the fish was cooked, she exploded again and ate 3 fish in a row. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and handed one over. "You said you wouldn't eat it. Now, out of the 5 fish, you've eaten 4. I've only eaten 1. Ao Jiao glared at Xiao Chun. "You're still talking? You're already despicable enough. These fish are even more despicable than you. They're so kind and always protect them. However, they spat at me. If I don't eat them, I won't be able to vent my anger. Is it delicious? Xiaochen narrowed his eyes and smiled gently. Ao Jiao, who was chewing on the fish, said with a lisp, "It's delicious. I really want to eat another one." Then, she felt that something was wrong and reacted. She quickly said, "Tui, Tui, Tui, Tui. It would be strange if it was delicious. This despicable fish is not delicious." "Oomph." Xiaochen smiled and said, "You little glutton. You're so proud. It's clearly delicious and you like it, but you don't want to admit it." Ao Jiao blushed slightly and continued to eat the fish, ignoring Xiaochen. Seeing Ao Jiao eat the fish, Xiaochen smiled gently. He took out a spoon and tasted the delicious fish soup. Suddenly, he felt that this was the most delicious thing in the world. There were thousands of soups in the world, but the best was still fresh fish soup. Of all the fresh fish soup, the one he was tasting was naturally the most delicious. Ancient fresh fish was indeed the best. Xiaochen's guess was right. In the future, he would finally be able to taste it. "No, Xiaochen, you have to tell me. Why is it that when you speak, fish jump out, and when I speak, they all spit at me?" Ao Jiao finished eating and jumped to Xiaochen's side. She stared at him with her big eyes, looking like she would not give up until she got an answer. Xiaochen put down the spoon and took out a handkerchief to wipe the water at the corner of his mouth. He smiled faintly and said, "Do you really want to know?" Chapter 1300. "Quick, tell me. Tell me why?" When Ao Jiao saw Xiaochen agree, her face lit up in joy. She shook Xiaochen continuously. Xiaochen's smile did not diminish. When Ao Jiao slowed down, he said unhurriedly, "There are many things that seem miraculous. However, after you get the answer, you will discover that the reason is actually very simple. In order to maintain the anticipation in your heart, I have decided to never tell you this secret. You're seeking death." Ao Jiao was originally very happy. However, when she heard this, her face immediately turned dark. She pushed Xiaochen down and pounded him with her small hands. Feeling helpless, Xiaochen smiled and said, "All right, get up first. I'll tell you. These immortal fish are intelligent. The 5 fish that jumped out are actually the older ones in the clan. Even if I do not eat them, they will die. They might as well jump out and let me eat them. That way, I will not eat the younger ones." Ao Jiao suddenly understood. So, that is what Xiaochen said. The logic is very simple. Then, why do they spit at me? Xiaochen smiled and said, 5 already jumped out. If you still want to eat them, then you are too greedy. It would be strange if they did not spit at you. I fell for your trap. Ao Jiao said in a wrong manner. I am really wronged. Xiaochen smiled and said, "Are you satisfied now? Come, let's return to the Sky Dome Palace." "We're going back just like that? Aren't there still forbidden lands that we have not explored yet?" "There's no need. Fortuitous encounters cannot come one after another. Furthermore, I already gained a lot. I have to be content. Even if there really are fortuitous encounters, I should leave them for later generations." Aside from what Xiaochen said, there was also the uncertain danger. This was also the reason why Xiaochen gave up. One had to be content with what they had. One should not be greedy and fearless just because one had great luck. If Xiaochen really died here, his reputation would be ruined. He would not be able to cry even if he wanted to. The cultivation of the Taiji Dao invisibly made Xiaochen's mental state and aura more peaceful, allowing him to see further. Sky Dome Palace. After Xiaochen returned, he immediately found that the security had become much tighter. The atmosphere was also quite oppressive and a little strange. However, Xiaochen did not mind. The deaths of more than 1,000 martial sages was considered a major matter. After the reinforcements from Kunlun arrived, there would definitely be some changes. Without getting past the guards, Xiaochen descended from the sky and went straight to his courtyard. Blue Dragon King Xiaochen has returned. Quickly inform the 3 lords. The Sky Azure Dragon Grand Array started to spin, like a fishing net that had been waiting for a long time. When Xiaochen showed up, they immediately mobilized their forces. In the room, Xiao Chan sensed the strange fluctuation of the heaven and earth spiritual qi, but he didn't think there was anything wrong. In his mind, he was pondering the great magical technique, Dharma World. Dharmic World had a total of 9 revolutions. After cultivating the first revolution and executing it, one's body would grow to a height of 3,000 zhang, becoming a giant that looked down on the world. After executing this magic technique, it would not harm the body or affect one's nimbleness. The benefits were clear. Not only could it increase one's deterrence, but it would also increase one's explosive power and destructive power significantly. It was not too difficult to reach the basics, and the requirements were not harsh either. This was an extremely popular magic technique in the Immortal epic. However, the magic energy required was startling. After the third revolution, the requirements would become harsher. Xiao Qian opened his eyes and muttered to himself, "With my current magic energy, it seems like I can barely cultivate this major magic technique. To ensure my safety, I have to raise the purple Thunder Divine incantation to the 8th layer." The purple Thunder Divine incantation's 7th layer had reached its peak long ago. However, Xiao Qian had purposely controlled it, stopping at this layer for many years. This was for the sake of continuously raising his strength. When it came time to undergo the lightning tribulation, he would be able to pass it easily and not need Ao Jiao to make a move. Now, Xiao Qian had a half-step golden body and grasped primordial energy. It was time to raise the purple Thunder Divine incantation to the 8th layer. Blue Dragon King, the 3 lords of the Bushin Palace wish to meet you. They are waiting in the Great Hall. Xiao Qian pushed open the door and discovered a servant that he had met a few times before. He said, "Lead the way. Where is Old Yun? Why don't I see him?" Old Yun, Old Yun. It was just an ordinary sentence, but it caused this servant to tremble, not knowing how to reply. Something happened. Xiao Qian's heart skipped a beat. He stopped and said, "Tell me the truth. How is Old Yun? Otherwise, I will take your life." The map that Old Yun provided played a huge role in Xiao Qian obtaining this great fortuitous encounter. If Old Yun suffered any injuries, Xiao Qian would not be able to rest easy. "Blue Dragon King, please spare me. You will know everything after you see those 3 lords. I am just an insignificant person and do not know anything. I hope that the Blue Dragon King will not make things difficult for me." Under Xiao Qian's strong might and pressure, the servant leading the way knelt down with a plop and spoke in horror. It looked like the situation was somewhat serious. Xiao Qian's face sank. He extended his spiritual sense and immediately saw the 3 leaders of the Bushin Palace's reinforcements sipping tea. "Wu Xue, lead the way. I'll go and ask them personally. What exactly happened?" Whoosh! A strong wind blew, preventing that servant from opening his eyes. When that servant looked up, he could not see Xiao Qian at all. The servant's eyes showed both anticipation and worry. This Blue Dragon King is a person of will. Perhaps Old Yin can be saved. However, those 3 lords clearly came prepared. "No, I still have to go over." A strong wind blew in the Great Hall, giving off a startling aura. However, the moment Xiao Qian appeared and landed, all the strong wind gathered on his body and stopped. This felt like an illusion. What a fast movement technique. He can control it as he pleases. His control is even more startling. The 3 people sipping tea were startled as they thought to themselves. Xiao Qian glanced at the 3 and immediately sensed the auras of strong holy beast martial spirits from the 3 old men. Vermilion bird, white tiger, and black tortoise. Xiao Qian immediately knew that these were the direct descendants of the 3 holy masters. "I do not have time to speak nonsense with you. Tell me, how is Old Yin now?" Xiao Qian stepped forward and casually waved his hand. Bang! 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 The teacups in the 3 old men's hands exploded at the same time, turning into countless shards. There was no room for negotiation. Xiao Qian made his move in a tyrannical manner, not holding back at all. Such a tyrannical and direct method caught the 3 old men off guard. Even though they were very experienced and confident, they were still caught off guard. Qin Hu, who was seated in the middle, calmed himself and said indifferently, He neglected his duties and failed to guard properly. He has already been sent to prison and will be released after 100 years of confinement. Xiao Qin's expression turned sullen as he said angrily, "How absurd! I'm not as clear as you on whether old Yin neglected his duties or not. For the sake of this Sky Dome Palace, he nearly lost his life. In the end, he did not die at the hands of the demons. Instead, he died at the hands of his own people. Humph! If we say that he neglected his duties, so be it. It is not your place to interfere. You should take care of yourself first before worrying about others. By you, the Vermilion Bird, Holy Lord's direct descendant, said with an indifferent expression, snorting coldly. Blue Dragon King, Old Yin did not neglect his duties. They were the ones who wanted Old Yin to frame you. Old Yin refused, so they tortured him until he was half dead and locked him up. Just at this moment, the servant who led Xiao Chun here rushed in and quickly explained the situation. How audacious! The enraged Xiao Chun no longer said anything. He straightened his body and charged forward, sending a palm strike at Qin Hu at lightning speed. Xiao Chun attacked on a whim. Furthermore, his lightning-fast speed startled Qin Hu. Before he could react, Xiao Chen's palm strike struck his chest. Bang! The lightning-fast Xiao Chun was knocked back instead. He only managed to stabilize himself after taking 10 steps. Whoosh! Qin Hu's clothes tore apart, turning into shreds and flying everywhere. Then, he revealed a set of white tiger battle armor covering his entire body. There was a breastplate, shoulder pads, arm guards, gloves, boots, leg guards, helmet, and a complete set of secret treasures covering his entire body. Roar! The battle armor flickered with light, and a white tiger image appeared behind Qin Hu, roaring ferociously at Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun was very knowledgeable, and his eyes were very sharp. With one glance, he could tell that the entire set of secret treasures were all peak quality king grade. Just one piece was worth a city. The entire set was even more expensive. Compared to a regular emperor-grade secret treasure, this set was much better. Furthermore, because it was not emperor-grade, it was easier for the half-step Emperor Wu to bring out its full might. This set of battle armor was extremely difficult to forge. Furthermore, it required a peak Grandmaster-level refiner. The Holy Land probably did not have many of them, so Xiao Chun was really willing to pay. Ka! The clothes of the other two old men on the left and right shattered, revealing a set of king-grade battle armor as well. The images of the Vermilion Bird and the Black Tortoise appeared, roaring at the same time as the White Tiger image. Holy Might connected. Their auras were startling, forcing Xiao Chun back a step. Seeing Xiao Chun take another step back, Qin Hu felt very confident, no longer feeling fear. He said in a very arrogant manner, Blue Dragon King, why don't you think about it? If we did not come prepared, how could we have fallen out with you? This peak-quality king-grade white tiger battle armor can block 80% of the attacks of a third Heaven Emperor Wu. Baiyu smiled coldly and said, that old Yin did not know how to adapt to circumstances. He deserves such an outcome. However, it will be your turn soon. The white-haired old man wearing the black tortoise battle armor said coldly, Xiao Chun, you barged into the Sky Dome Palace's forbidden land, causing the deaths of 1,000 martial sages in the Bushin Palace. Now, we are under the orders of the 3 Vice Palace Masters to revoke your title of Blue Dragon King. Come with us to the Bushin Palace to receive your trial. Qin Hu stepped forward with a surging aura and said, if you surrender now, I will not make things difficult for you. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. You have no idea how strong the accumulations of a holy land are. Even if I stand here and let you hit me, you will not be able to kill me. Xiao Chun flung his hand. However, when he heard this, he started laughing. The other party's battle armor did indeed startle Xiao Chun somewhat. However, where did the other party get his confidence to be so arrogant? Is that so? Your tortoise shell is indeed very hard. However, no matter how hard it is just a tortoise. In the earlier palm strike, Xiao Chun had not used his full power at all. He had not even used his primordial energy. That was why he had suffered a slight disadvantage. From the start to the end, Xiao Chun had never feared the other party. It was impossible for Xiao Chun to surrender now. Capture him, Qin Hu ordered coldly. Chapter 1301. The two old men on the left and right immediately moved upon hearing the voice, charging at Xiao Chun. With the protection of the battle armor, the two did not fear him. Xiao Chun smiled faintly, and the lunar shadow saber appeared in his hand. Let me see how hard your tortoise shell is. Without even looking at the two, Xiao Chun stepped forward. He did not draw his saber, holding it in his right hand. Xiao Chun casually thrust forward, easily breaking the other party's attack and knocking him back. Like a magic trick, the lunar shadow saber leaped out and appeared in his left hand, sweeping out wildly. Boom! The black-haired old man, wearing the black tortoise battle armor, fell to the ground. The two old men used only half of their primordial energy. Compared to Xiao Chun, the difference in strength was like that of clouds and mud. Not giving Xiao Chun any time to rest, Qin Hu charged over with a startling aura. Loud sounds rang out, and space trembled. Xiao Chen's empty right hand clashed with Qin Hu's moves. Not only did Xiao Chen not retreat, but he even forced Qin Hu to retreat continuously, panting. After breaking 10 moves, Xiao Chun already held the upper hand. He sent Qin Hu flying with a palm strike. The seemingly complicated and dazzling movements were completed in a breath's time. Fighting 1 against 3, Xiao Chun easily knocked back the 3. Of course, the 3 had the protection of the battle armor and could not sustain any injuries. However, the pain from the heavy blows was unavoidable. You can't kill me? Let's see if you can kill me or not. As Xiao Chun spoke, he soared into the air and stomped heavily on Qin Hu, who was halfway to his feet, ruthlessly crushing him. Whoosh! Whoosh! Sonic booms resounded. Bai Yu and the white-haired old man, who were knocked back earlier, charged over, wanting to save Qin Hu. However, Xiao Chun did not even bother to look. He still did not draw the lunar shadow saber. He simply swung it out, using a strong saber intent and primordial energy to knock the white-haired old man back. The sharpness of the saber and the force were simply frightening. The lunar shadow saber was like magic. It flew into Xiao Chen's other hand. Holding the hilt, he chopped down heavily. Bai Yu, who was about to injure Xiao Chun, was startled. He reacted quickly and moved very quickly. He clapped his hands together and clamped down on the lunar shadow saber scabbard. The cracks on the ground spread out like a spiderweb. Bai Yu, who caught the saber, did not have time to think before the force of the saber forced him to kneel on one knee. Xiao Chen's face turned red. Even though he knelt down, it was still very strenuous. He felt like he would not be able to catch Xiao Chen's lunar shadow saber soon. Suddenly, he felt the force on the scabbard disappear. Thinking that Xiao Chun had run out of strength, Zhang Xian was overjoyed. He quickly released his grip and retreated. However, the instant he loosened his grip, an even stronger force surged into the scabbard. He could retract the force at will. When the scabbard pulled back, Bai Yu, who wanted to leave, cried out in pain and tumbled on the ground. On the other side, the white-haired old man attacked again. However, when he saw the lunar shadow saber spinning around and pressing forward, he paled in fright and quickly retreated. Xiao Chun, who had not even moved, used a few moves to beat the two old men into a sorry state. They were in great pain, but they could not rush over. As Xiao Chun dealt with the two old men with his hands, he did not relax either. He continuously stomped on Qin Hu's body. Every step he took caused a loud rumbling sound to ring out. Even if there was a restriction on the ground, it had already shattered. Blood leaked out of a corner of Qin Hu's lips. He was in so much pain that his complexion turned purple. However, when Xiao Chun stomped on him, it was not only a humiliation to his face, but also an unbearable pain to his body. When the servant, who had already hidden far away, saw this scene, his mind turned chaotic. Originally, he was worried for Xiao Chun. Now, he felt some pity for these 3 old men. They were too pitiful. If not for this set of battle armor, they might be able to ask for a quick death. Xiao Chun, let me up. Qin Hu, who could not get up at all, pleaded to Xiao Chun in pain. He was already in a sorry state, unable to get up. Xiao Chen remained expressionless as he retorted coldly. Didn't you say that you would not die even if you stood there and let me hit you? Why are you begging for mercy now? Who gave you the confidence to be so arrogant, to dare to frame me? Who gave you the authority to torture old Yun and imprison him? Now you are begging for mercy? Dream on. The pain drove Qin Hu crazy with despair. No matter how hard he tried, he could not stand up. He shouted hoarsely, "Fellow Taoists, there is no need to hold back. Activate the Sky Dome Dragon Formation and kill him." The Sky Dome Dragon Formation could kill Emperor Wu, a great killing tool of the Sky Dome Palace. Back then, the Sky Dome Palace was careless when facing Yao Manlan and Feng Zi because of this formation. Unfortunately, no matter how powerful the formation was, it still needed a person to operate it. Under Yao Manlan's charm arts, the Sky Dome Dragon Formation could not be activated before it died. As the saying went, this formation succeeded and failed because of it. Now that Qin Hu faced the strong Xiao Chun, he could no longer care about anything else. He prepared to use the Sky Dome Dragon Formation to kill Xiao Chun. The expressions of Bai Yu and the old man wearing the black tortoise battle armor sank. They obeyed the orders and flew out of the hall at the same time. Although Qin Hu was in pain and in a sorry state, his life was not in danger, so the two were not worried. "Xiao Chun, you are dead for sure. You are dead for sure. No matter how you humiliate me now, once the Sky Dome Dragon Formation is activated, you will not survive," Qin Hu said hatefully as he looked at Xiao Chun through clenched teeth. "Whether I die or not is not up to you." Xiao Chun prepared to leave this place. Once any formation was activated, being trapped inside would be problematic. The formation could not be activated forever. As long as these three old men remained in the Sky Dome Palace, Xiao Chun had plenty of ways to deal with them and force them to release Old Yin. As long as Old Yin was safe, Xiao Chun did not care. He could not be bothered with the people of the three holy masters' holy lands. Xiao Chun stomped down heavily, but he did not draw his sword. Instead, he kicked Qin Hu's chest, nearly knocking him unconscious from the pain. Xiao Chun casually kicked this person away. Then his figure flashed, and he appeared outside the hall. Suddenly, he discovered that something was wrong. Heavy clouds churned in the sky. The sky looked like it was going to collapse. Xiao Chun felt like he could touch the clouds if he stretched out his hand. Killing chi spread everywhere, giving off a sense of pressure like a storm was coming. "The formation is activated already?" Xiao Chun muttered as he landed on the roof of the hall. "It looks like they planned to plot against me from the moment I entered the Sky Dome Palace. This is somewhat problematic. If I want to go out, I will need some time." "That's fine. Let's see if there is anything about this Sky Dome Dragon formation. In the future, when I face similar formations, I will not have to feel uncertain. I have finally seen it for myself." Soon, Xiao Chun recovered his mental state, calming his body and mind. "Kill." The word "kill" resounded in the sky. It was ear-splitting and struck at the mind, making one's soul tremble. A dragon roar resounded, and suddenly, a dragon head peeked out from the dark clouds in the sky. It glared and opened its jaws, launching itself at Xiao Chun. With a gentle flash, Xiao Chun dodged this attack. The dragon head retracted, and an unfathomable dragon claw swiped at Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun turned around and gently pushed his scabbard forward, blocking the dragon claw. There was a loud sound, and Xiao Chun felt his arm go numb. He thought to himself, "This force is very strong. It is no weaker than the third Heaven Emperor Wu's." The ferocious dragon in the sky was hidden in the thick clouds. The dragon's head and tail could not be seen. The attacks that it sent out were unfathomable. Furthermore, the dragon moved very quickly, entangling Xiao Chun in an instant. It looked like Xiao Chun was in danger. "Old brother Qin, you can let Bai Yu make a move now, right?" The white-haired old man from the Holy Lord's faction, who was hidden in the dark, asked when he felt that the time was right. The purple-faced Qin, who had already rushed over long ago. He nodded and said, "He is already entangled by the Sky Dome Dragon's soul. It is time to make a move." "How stubborn." This time, I will show him the consequences of offending the three holy masters. Whoosh! Whoosh! The formations covering the entire Sky Dome Palace suddenly flickered. Thousands of beams of light soared into the sky. The spiritual energy of the world quickly gathered. Each beam of light hit a person. When the beams of light stopped, they gathered into a huge dragon on the ground. Every part of the huge dragon was connected to the buildings of the Sky Dome Palace. It looked like the entire Sky Dome Palace turned into a huge dragon that came to life. Standing on the dragon's head was the Vermilion Bird Holy Lord's faction, Baiyu. Baiyu looked coldly at Shao Chun, who was entangled with the ferocious dragon in the sky. Bushin Palace disciples, heed my orders. Sky Dome Dragon Formation, two dragons merge. Immediately, the two ferocious dragons in the sky and on the ground opened their jaws at the same time and bit down. They sealed off the surroundings, cutting off Shao Chen's path, preventing him from dodging. Since he could not dodge, he could only enter the dragon's jaws. Shao Chen quickly made his choice. Shao Chen's figure flashed, and he entered the ferocious dragon's jaws, entering a mysterious pitch-black place. Good. He entered. Qin Hu and the white-haired old man said loudly, rejoicing at the same time. On the dragon's head, Baiyu said coldly with a solemn expression, heed my command. Sky Dome Dragon soars, coiling dragon chop. Yes. The 1,003 Holy Masters cultivators stood on various parts of the dragon's body and answered in unison, their auras shaking the sky. Immediately, the Sky Dome Dragon on the ground coiled up, assuming the posture of flying into the sky. The entire Sky Dome Palace moved with it. The ground for 500 kilometers around rumbled and trembled endlessly. As for Shao Chun, he felt the space around him twist continuously in that dark space. He could not walk straight. He could only spin upward, running continuously. However, no matter how he ran, he felt like he was spinning at the same spot. Chop! Baiyu shouted coldly and ferociously stabbed the weapon in his hand into the dragon's mouth. Ka! 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 The 1,000 people stabbed their weapons into the huge dragon's body at the same time. Bang! In the darkness, Shao Chun, who was already feeling extremely uncomfortable, saw many huge weapons descending from all directions, all pointing at him. Shao Chun could not dodge at all. Immediately, he was covered in wounds. His 5 senses turned chaotic in this space, and his sense of direction became distorted. There was simply no way to dodge. Baiyu shouted coldly again, and the coiled-up Sky Dome Dragon suddenly unfurled its body. The 1,000 swords were drawn at the same time, all of them dripping with blood. Immediately, blood spurted out from various parts of the huge dragon's body, scattering everywhere. It looked exceptionally horrifying. Ha ha ha! I allowed you to be arrogant, not because I feared you. This old man could have dealt with you long ago. Qin Hu showed a sinister expression as he looked at the blood in the sky, going berserk with excitement. Chapter 1302. The white-haired old man at the side found this somewhat strange. This formation was used to deal with the demons. Now it was being used on him. Furthermore, the irony was that it could not deal any damage to the demons. However, it was very tyrannical when dealing with its own people. Whoosh! A hole appeared in the dark space, and beams of light shot in, blinding Shao Chun into squinting. Hey Shao Chun, are you alright? Do you think I'm alright? The 1,000 swords are all stuck in my body. What should we do? Let me help you. Ao Jiao said worriedly. Shao Chun smiled faintly and said, they did not injure my heart of an emperor. To me, they are just superficial wounds. There is no need to worry. I have indeed underestimated this Sky Dome Dragon formation. I heard that this is just the simplified version. The Great Sky Dome Dragon formation can appear in the sky and on the ground at the same time. Look at the situation, and you're still in the mood to comment on this Sky Dome Dragon formation. Think of a way to break it. It's fine. One more time, and I will roughly know what's going on with this Sky Dome Dragon formation. What? You want to experience the feeling of 1,000 swords piercing your body again? When Baiyu saw the blood drifting in the air, he revealed an expression of joy. Even if Shao Chun had the heart of an emperor, injuring him like this 10 or so times would weaken him, forcing him to obediently accept punishment. Again, Bai shouted coldly, filled with pride. The 1,000 people obeyed, and the entire Sky Dome Palace shook intensely again. The Sky Dome Dragon coiled up again. Outside the Sky Dome Palace, 3 pale-faced demonic world blood demon cultivators walked out from the darkness, startled by the intense mysterious phenomenon. The person in the middle looked delicate with purple patterns carved on his forehead. He was an outstanding royal talent of the blood demon bloodline. The servant on the right revealed an expression of joy as he said respectfully, "Indeed, even the heavens are helping young Master Shui. We wanted to save that Yao Manlon and waited here for a few days because we feared this Sky Dome Dragon formation. Now, they are in disarray." However, young Master Shui's complexion paled. "Even I am not confident of breaking this Sky Dome Dragon formation. Who is so capable that the Sky Dome Palace has to use this formation to suppress it?" The Sky Dome formation was expected to be problematic. However, it was not scary. What Shao Chen feared were the unexpected changes. Hu Qi, with another loud roar, the azure dragon unfurled itself, and fresh blood sprayed into the air once more. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The cultivators on every part of the dragon shouted in unison. Their roars were like thunder, shaking the surroundings. The might of the Azure Dragon was on full display. Even the previously powerful Shao Chun could not do anything now. He could only let them torture him again and again. Good. Shao Chun, I'll let you suffer as many times as you kick me." Qin, who felt extremely delighted and couldn't help but shout out loudly. When his voice entered into Shao Chen's ears, it caused him to laugh coldly without end. After enduring 2 attacks, Shao Chun had a rough idea of the current environment and came up with the corresponding countermeasures. However, with the Sky Dome Dragon entrenched, the spatial laws of the entire Sky Dome Palace had already changed. Shao Chen's space had already been compressed to a point. No matter how he moved, he could not leave this point. Furthermore, no matter which direction the 1,000 swords attacked from, they would all strike Shao Chun at this point. Since that was the case, there was no need for Shao Chun to run around like before. All he needed to do was guard this point. If it were a regular Emperor Wu, even if he could figure this out so quickly, he would not be able to do anything. This was because they could not dodge the attacks of the 1,000 swords within a small space. They could only be tortured to death. However, Shao Chun was different. After comprehending the fish dragon art, he was most skilled at dodging within a small space. "Continue attacking. I want to hear him beg for mercy and pain." Qin, who instructed Bai Yu loudly with a ferocious expression. Bai Yu, who was on the Dragon Head Mountain, pointed with his sword, and the Sky Dome Dragon entrenched itself once more. Then, he stabbed his sword into it. The other disciples followed his lead and did the same. However, this time, they were destined to be disappointed. 100 transformations of dragon and fish dodge. Shao Chen's body swayed like an immortal fish swinging its tail within a small space. After images flickered, the seemingly casual swaying allowed Shao Chun to dodge at the most dangerous moment. In one breath, the sound reverberated 1,000 times. Without exception, all the swords dodged. When the other party was about to pull out their swords, Shao Chen's body suddenly moved. Flickering light passing shadows, he moved 1,000 times in one breath. Kassier! Kassier! The instant the Sky Dome Dragon unfurled, the cultivators standing on every part of the dragon all drew out a broken sword. "What's going on? Why did my sword break?" All of them found this inconceivable, showing incredibly shocked expressions. Even Bai Yu, who was on the dragon head, did not know what was going on. The smile on Qin, whose face froze. He felt that something was wrong. Whoosh! 1,000 broken sword shards flew out of the hole. Each shard contained a strong saber intent as they shot out from the Sky Dome Dragon. Miserable shrieks rang out. Caught off guard, the 1,000 cultivators each suffered a wound on their bodies as they fell. Blood dyed the sky red. However, this time, it was not Shao Chen's blood that fell. The Sky Dome Dragon lost the cultivator's control. Xiaochen clearly felt that the previously tight and flawless space had become much weaker. Clash of the Two Moons. Xiao Chan sent out two palm strikes, executing the thousand-year flame and thousand-year death at the same time. The blood moon and the bright moon clashed, erupting with a huge destructive force. Rumble. The Sky Dome Dragon, which wanted to soar into the air, crashed to the ground as if it suffered a severe injury. A large hole blasted open on the dragon's body. All sorts of bricks and tiles flew everywhere. Xiao Chun leaped out of the hole. When he got a clear look, he discovered that he had destroyed a building of the Sky Dome Palace. What a profound formation! To think that it can use all the buildings in such an ingenious manner. The sincere praise that came from Xiao Chen's mouth sounded humiliating to the cultivators below. Even such a profound formation could not trap Xiao Chun to death. In that case, they were even worse than trash. Baiyu was still on the dragon's head. His face sank as he shouted, "All disciples, return to your positions. Sky Dome Dragon Formation, Double Dragon Tail Whip." Yes, the many injured cultivators felt dissatisfied in their hearts. However, Baiyu's shout rekindled their fighting spirit. Thousands of pillars of light soared into the sky and leaped onto the dragon's body again. The hidden Sky Dome Dragon in the clouds in the sky was the first to charge over. Its dragon tail swept out unpredictably. The force was so great that it shook the surroundings, causing buzzing sounds. Space was like an old building, letting out a mournful cry. Xiao Chun, who had been preparing to leave and not continue fighting, looked at the dragon tails flying over from both sides. With a thought, Xiao Chun made a new plan. While he was in the dragon's stomach, he had already thought about it. This Sky Dome Dragon formation was somewhat strange. He did not know how many tricks it had. There was no need for Xiao Chun to compete with this formation alone. Even if he won, he would be at too much of a disadvantage. As long as Xiao Chun managed to leave, he could think of thousands of ways to force Qin Hu and the others to submit. There was no need for him to fight to the death here and suffer. However, when Xiao Chun saw the two dragon tails, he thought of an idea. Use the enemy's strength to break the enemy's formation. If there were 3 Sky Dome Dragons, Xiao Chun would not dare to do so. However, there were only 2. This gave him great confidence. 2 fiery lights flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes, and the Taiji force field instantly formed. This time, Xiao Chun split his 100 strands of primordial energy in half, making the Taiji force field unprecedentedly strong. "Fight!" Xiao Chun shouted and looked around. Then, he faced the dragon tail descending from the sky and slowly raised his right hand. Xiao Chen's movements looked astonishingly slow. However, it was this slow movement that allowed Xiao Chen's right hand to firmly grasp the dragon tail. Then, his body moved like a fish. As he moved, thousands upon thousands of overlapping afterimages appeared. Qin Hu exclaimed in shock, "How can this be? The force of this dragon tail can fling away the third heaven Emperor Wu." Yet, Xiao Chen managed to catch it. Furthermore, he is not injured at all. That's not right. He is deflecting the force. His movements look slow, but they are actually as steady as a mountain. Although the white-haired old man beside Xiao Chun could not figure out what was going on, he noticed something strange. Qin Hu smiled coldly and said, "No matter how he deflects the force, when the second dragon tail sweeps over, he will definitely be injured under the pincer attack of the 2 tails." Whoosh! The afterimages merged. The calm and peaceful Xiao Chun did not make a sound as he grabbed the dragon tail and kicked ferociously. The clouds scattered and the sky shattered. Xiao Chun forcefully pulled down an old dragon from the sky. The dragon tail on the ground crashed into the old dragon that Xiao Chun pulled down. The collision of the 2 dragons was a horrifying scene that no one could have imagined, and just like that, it happened. The thousands of cultivators on the dragon's body on the ground were instantly blasted away. The 2 Sky Dome Dragons each suffered heavy losses. Thousands of buildings on the ground collapsed, using the enemy's strength to break the enemy's formation. Xiao Chun revealed a smile as he looked at the old dragon in the sky, rolling on the ground in pain. Then, he said in enlightenment, I was wondering why it was so powerful. It turns out that it is a genuine, complete dragon soul. The capital required for the Sky Dome Dragon formation is really significant. Get into formation and kill him. Baiyu roared as he flipped over and got to his feet. Then, he glared at the fallen Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun shook his head and said indifferently, the formation has lost most of its might. What else can you use to play with me? Taiji burst. Xiao Chun casually waved his right hand, and the Taiji force field, which had already spread over the entire area, suddenly exploded. The originally peaceful Taiji force field that looked natural and harmonious burst forth with world-shaking destructive power. All the buildings on the ground were uprooted, turning into countless pieces. Dust spread out and smoke surged. The entire Sky Dome Palace was completely destroyed. All sorts of debris flew about in the air, covering the sky and sun. As for the cultivators charging at Xiao Chun, they were blasted into the air by Xiao Chun, scattering among the dust and wreckage that filled the air. Amid the chaotic and majestic scene, Xiao Chun walked toward Qin, who step by step. The explosion that sounded like the end of the world happened behind Xiao Chun like a violent storm. However, the white-robed Xiao Chun remained calm and peaceful, walking over elegantly in a calm and unruffled manner. The lunar shadow saber appeared out of nowhere. Naturally, Xiao Chun grabbed it and caught it. Xiao Chun happened to walk over to Qin Hu's side. Before the stunned Qin Hu could react, Xiao Chun casually kicked him into a kneeling position. Chapter 1303. The lunar shadow saber landed gently, pressing down on Qin Hu's shoulder like a mountain. No matter how hard he tried, he could not stand up. Don't think that I cannot do anything to you just because you have this peak grade battle armor protecting you. If I cannot kill you with 1,000 kicks, I will kick you 10,000 times. If 10,000 times is not enough, I will kick you 100,000 times. I do not believe that you will not die. Xiao Chun grasped the lunar shadow saber and pressed down heavily, causing Qin Hu to cry out in pain. Xiao Chun glanced around and saw another old man standing beside Qin Hu. He immediately knelt down and said, Blue Dragon King, we had no choice but to deal with you. Please do not hold grudges against us. Please let us off this time. With the white-haired old man kneeling, the two's overbearing aura of wanting to take down Xiao Chun completely vanished. Qin Hu felt helpless. He begged, let us go, and we guarantee that we will not seek trouble for you in the future. Xiao Chun said, you should rejoice that I will not seek trouble for you. Yet, you still want to seek trouble for me? I already have a grudge with the 3 holy masters long ago. Whether I let you off or not, the 3 holy masters will not let me off. Tell me, what do I have to do for us to leave? Now that the Sky Dome Dragon formation was broken and they were in Xiao Chen's hands again, Qin Hu and the white-haired old man no longer had any fighting spirit. Xiao Chun said indifferently, I can let you go, but you have to leave behind the battle armor you are wearing. Dream on. This is the accumulations of a holy land. Each holy land only has 10 battle armors. If we give them all to you, wouldn't that mean that you have 3 sets? Don't think that way. The two were both startled and furious. They had not expected Xiao Chen's appetite to be so huge. Xiao Chen's expression did not change. He said calmly, you are mistaken. The weak do not have a choice. Either you take the initiative to remove the battle armor, or I will personally make a move. After I kill you, I will take it for myself. How do you choose? I will give you 10 breaths of time. In the face of Xiao Chen's forcefulness, the two of them felt somewhat helpless, not knowing how to deal with it. 10 breaths of time simply did not allow for too much time to think. The two of them had conflicted expressions on their faces, and in the end, they painfully agreed to Xiao Chen's request. After putting away the 2 sets of armor, Xiao Chun found Baiyu in the rubble and successfully obtained the vermilion bird armor. 3 sets of peak-quality, king-grade secret treasures could be considered a great harvest. However, Xiao Chun did not intend to let the 3 off so easily. These 3 people had clearly come here with a premeditated plan. They were instigated by someone. Something must have happened in the Kunlun realm. Otherwise, the three holy masters wouldn't have been so bold as to pick a fight with him so blatantly. However, just as he was about to ask, Xiao Chan sensed three auras approaching from off in the distance. Raising his head, he saw three pale-faced men dressed in blood-red clothes rushing over from the dust in the distance. Of the three, the one in the middle gave Xiao Chan the feeling that he was the most dangerous. When this person got closer and saw the purple mark on his forehead, Xiao Chan frowned slightly. The demonic world's royal clan is here for the Sky Dome Heart again. Logically speaking, this was not the time to fall out with them yet. Since the sneak attack failed once, there would not be a second time. Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun, it must be you, right? I have heard of your great name in the demonic world. The royal blood demon in the middle looked at the surrounding rubble and continued, not bad. I have not even figured out how to break this Sky Dome Dragon formation. To think that you broke it so easily. A demonic genius of the demonic world's royal clan. Qin Hu and the other two were startled. The bloodline of the 18 demon monarchs of the demonic world was famous for being strong. Now that the Sky Dome Dragon formation was gone, and their battle armor was snatched away, even protecting themselves would be a problem. Xiao Chun stepped forward and looked at this person. Why are you here? Speak directly. The other party did not take the opportunity to make a move. It was probably not because of the Sky Dome Heart, but something else. This is our clan's young Master Shui. He is not here to snatch your Sky Dome Heart. Release Miss Manlon, and we will leave, the person on young Master Shui's right said coldly with an arrogant attitude. Xiao Chen did not care about this young Master Shui or not. He said rudely, release her? You killed 1,000 martial sages of my Sky Dome Palace. You want to leave so easily? Impossible. You're seeking death. Young Master Shui waved his hand to stop the two servants at the side. He smiled and said, everything can be discussed. If you have any requests, just state them. As long as you're willing to let them go, anything can be discussed. Earlier, when those three people wanted to kill you, you only stated your conditions. Didn't that make things easier for you? Xiao Chan retorted calmly. Conditions? Sure. Give me a bottle of primordial pills, and I can pretend that I did not see you and let you go. When young Master Shui heard this, he became enraged. This Xiao Chan did not care about them at all. To think that he treated them like captives. You are really reckless. Xiao Chen smiled, and his Taiji force field appeared. Then, his figure flashed. Xiao Chun, who was originally as quiet as a virgin, moved as fast as a dragon soaring into the sky, bringing with him an overwhelming aura. Fast, dragons and fishes changed. A blue dragon soared into the sky, scattering the clouds. Without drawing his saber, Xiao Chun hacked down at young Master Shui. Whoosh! Young Master Shui was startled. What fast speed! The two servants at the side stepped forward and shielded him, trying to block Xiao Chen's saber strike. Can you block it? Xiao Chun smiled coldly and swung his saber. His momentum was heavy and unfathomable. In one breath, he executed hundreds of saber moves. The two blood demons' faces sank. They no longer showed any contempt on their faces. They used their full power to block. Bang! Bang! In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged 100 moves. The two felt their arms aching, finding it hard to block and unable to keep up with the rhythm. I'll do it. Young Master Shui narrowed his eyes and charged forward. The two servants heaved a sigh of relief and quickly moved aside. Good timing. Xiao Chen laughed loudly. His aura flourished as he pressed forward, forcing the three to retreat. Xiao Chen's figure flickered, leaving afterimages. Even though he fought 1 against 3, he held the upper hand, forcing the three to retreat step by step. The rhythm of the battle was too fast. In just a few breaths, they had already exchanged hundreds of moves. Young Master Shui and the other two used their full power, not holding back at all. However, they were still suppressed. Slow. Amid the fast rhythm, Xiao Chun suddenly slowed down. Within the Taiji force field, the movements of young Master Shui and the others seemed to slow as well. The three were caught off guard. Before they could understand what was going on, Xiao Chun pressed his saber forward heavily, sending them all flying. The two weaker servants vomited blood on the spot and rolled on the ground. Young Master Shui staggered back 100 steps before he stabilized himself. As he looked at Xiao Chun, deep fear appeared in his eyes. After young Master Shui activated the royal blood demon, his strength was terrifyingly strong. He did not fear Xiao Chen's primordial energy. However, the martial Dao techniques that Xiao Chun displayed earlier were unheard of. He could not keep up with the rhythm at all. As young Master Shui expected, he was easily toyed with by Xiao Chun. The problem was not scary. What was scary was this sudden accident. What exactly is your strength? Young Master Shui asked sullenly. Xiao Chun replied indifferently. Under Emperor Wu, I am unrivaled. Unrivaled? Young Master Shui snorted coldly. You're a frog in a well. Don't think that just because you obtained some ancient martial Dao, you can boast like that. Use your secret technique. Yes. The two servants nodded. Then, the bodies of young Master Shui's group of 3 suddenly turned into bats, filling the air. Thousands of bats gathered together, and young Master Shui appeared before Xiao Chen again. This time, his aura was more than twice as strong. A trace of Emperor's might spread out from his body. Xiao Chen frowned and said, Emperor's might? In the demonic world, 3 people can merge and multiply the strength of the main body. To think that there is such a secret technique. I said all the nice things, but you did not let them go, forcing me to use the forbidden technique. You asked for it. Young Master Shui shouted coldly and punched back at Xiao Chun. When he punched, a scarlet light surged into the sky. It was as if the punch had come from a sea of blood. A vast sea of blood appeared before Xiao Chun, vast and boundless. Young Master Shui rode on the waves, and thousands of layers of blood waves soared into the sky behind him. When he punched, the sea of blood instantly spread out. A vast pressure surged out along with the sea of blood. Xiao Chen looked insignificant among the huge waves. None of these royal clan demonic geniuses can be underestimated. Xiao Chun shook his head slightly. He circulated all his primordial energy and split it in half. Emperors might immediately spread out in the Taiji force field. Xiao Chun completely unleashed the aura of a king. His figure wavered as he swung his scabbard to receive this punch. Hu Qi. The force of the punch was too great. Xiao Chen's body spun along with the Taiji force field, slowly neutralizing the force. Young Master Shui's aura was overwhelming. After he punched, he launched an earth-shattering attack, raining down like a torrential storm. Xiao Chen fought fast with slow speed. He was like a small boat on the vast sea. As his figure moved, he left behind many afterimages. To the outside, the space where the two were was spinning. The scenery was like flickering light and shadows, flickering continuously. It was chaotic, and there was no way to see clearly. The impenetrable defense made the strong young Master Shui very anxious. He had no choice but to increase his speed. After another 1,000 moves, Xiao Chun clearly noticed that young Master Shui had slowed down. Clearly, he could not keep up the momentum and was trying to pull back. Fast! Xiao Chun grasped this opportunity and instantly drew the lunar shadow saber. All the light within 1 kilometer vanished. The instant he drew the saber, Xiao Chun and the saber in his hand entered darkness at the same time. It was not that Xiao Chun entered darkness. Instead, his light was too strong, chasing away all the light within 1 kilometer. This saber was called Eternal Light. Young Master Shui, who had just thought of retreating, had no time to dodge. The saber struck him. The scarlet light vanished, and the bats filling the air flew around in a fluster. Bang! The bats reformed, and young Master Shui fell to the ground while vomiting blood. Young Master Shui looked at Xiao Chun, and his eyes revealed horror. Under Emperor Wu, Xiao Chun could be said to be unrivaled. These words were not exaggerated at all. Even the peak outstanding talents of the 18 royal clans of the demonic world might not be able to receive that final saber strike. That saber strike was too horrifying. It was so strong that young Master Shui could not understand it at all. There were traces of a very strong saber domain in it. However, Young Master Shui had seen many experts who cultivated a saber domain in the demonic world. None of them were like Xiao Chun. Xiao Chen's saber domain looked right, but was actually wrong. It already surpassed the understanding of domains that ordinary people had. It was like he had entered a path that no one had taken before. Chapter 1304. Let's go. The three no longer dared to linger. They executed the Blood Race's secret technique, Blood Shadow Evasion, turning into a long scarlet line as they fled into the distance. Xiao Chen did not give chase. He was not in a good situation, either. Earlier, he had put in a lot of effort to break the Sky Dome Dragon formation. He had even suffered some injuries that he had not treated. After that, he fought with the merged young Master Shui. While it looked like an easy fight, in reality, his physical body had suffered a huge blow. If the young Master Shui had been able to hold on, Xiao Chan might not have been able to withstand the Taiji force field. This battle also allowed him to have a comprehensive and clear understanding of his own strength. Xiao Chan turned his head and glanced coldly at Qin, Hu, and the other two. Then, he instructed, "Release old Yun, and you may leave. However, leave behind the martial sage you brought." Yes, yes, yes. Seeing that the young Master Shui, who could even release Emperor's Might, lost to Xiao Chun, the three felt even more reverence for Xiao Chun. They did not dare to disobey his orders. After Xiao Chun left, the three showed bitter expressions, feeling extremely conflicted. Bai Yu sighed and said, "What should we do? The Holy Lord gave us a mission. Not only did we fail to complete it, but we even lost the battle armor." Qin, who felt a bellyful of anger, he snorted coldly and said, "What else can we do? This old man was not willing to take this mission in the first place. Whoever can do it, right? Back then, we all knew that the Blue Dragon King was ridiculously strong. The Sky Dome realm did not allow Emperor Wu to come down. No one was willing to do it, so they pushed us out. Clearly, they wanted to test out Xiao Chen's strength." Qin, who glanced at Xiao Chen's back and said indifferently, "We should not worry about this. When we reach the Kunlun realm, someone will naturally come and deal with him. Now, pretend to be a coward and help deal with the aftermath. Once we are done, we will quickly leave this damned place. This old man is not willing to stay here any longer." Half a day later, the aftermath was more or less cleaned up. Xiao Chun met old Yun in a simple courtyard. Many thanks to the Blue Dragon King for his righteous actions. Otherwise, who knows how long this old man would have been locked up. Old Yun thanked Xiao Chun as he knelt down. Xiao Chun quickly stood up and helped Elder Yun up. "Elder Yun, you're too kind. I wanted to thank you for giving me the map. What's more, you didn't listen to them and frame me this time. That's why you ended up like this. I should be the one thanking you." After some thought, Xiao Chun took out the last longevity fruit and said, "Take this longevity fruit as my token of appreciation." Senior Yun quickly rejected. "I have already consumed this longevity fruit once. It is not very meaningful. Blue Dragon King, keep it for yourself." Xiao Chen now understood. The longevity tree was in this Sky Dome Immortal realm. How could the other party not have consumed it before? "How about this? I'll give you a Saint Tier pill. As long as it's not a fatal injury, you'll be able to recover quickly." There were only 10 sage-grade medicinal pills among the treasures left behind by the Thunder King. However, Old Yin had been kind to Xiao Chun, so there was nothing to be reluctant about giving him one. Seeing Old Yun's embarrassment, Xiao Chun smiled and said, "I have a half-step golden body. This sage-grade medicinal pill is not very useful to me. Just accept it." Only then did Old Yin reluctantly accept it and thank Xiao Chun. The two started chatting about the current situation. Qin Hu and Bai Yu had already left, but they did not bring the 1,000 martial sages with them. In the future, as long as they repaired the buildings of the Sky Dome Palace, they could still execute the Sky Dome Dragon formation. The Sky Dome Palace still had the ability to protect itself. However, that Yao Manlon was a source of trouble. No one could interrogate her while she was in prison. No one dared to look at her eyes. Even when she was blindfolded, her voice could still mesmerize others. She was like an enchantress. Furthermore, this time, young Master Shui came to save her. Clearly, she held a significant position in the demonic world or had a major character protecting her. They could not interrogate her or kill her. Furthermore, she could summon a strong enemy. This was a huge problem for the Sky Dome Palace. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. Then, he said, "In that case, hand her to me. I want to see which demon race in this Sky Dome realm dares to ask for her from me." Old Yun revealed a joyful expression. "That would be great. There is really no way to deal with this enchantress. She has given me a headache." Xiao Chun left behind a message talisman. "While I'm in the Sky Dome realm, if Old Yun has any trouble, you can use the message talisman to look for me. Bring me to the prison, then." Inside the prison, Xiao Chun saw Yao Manlan, whose arms and ankles were shackled. However, her sorry state did not diminish her charm, making her look pitiful. Instead, it made one love her even more. "Blue Dragon King, be careful when you go in." Several people fell for this enchantress's tricks. The one leading Xiao Chun was a woman. No man in the entire prison dared to face this woman. When Yao Manlan saw Xiao Chun arrive, she showed a somewhat excited expression. She stood up and wanted to pounce over, the swaying chains giving off dang-dang sounds. As Yao Manlan wished, Xiao Chun sent out a few strands of saber chi and broke the chains binding her. However, his figure flashed slightly. Plop! Yao Manlan, who had used too much force, fell to the ground. Yao Manlan cried out in pain and prostrated herself on the ground. She was somewhat stunned that her chains were gone. This only made her even more horrified. She took a few steps back and looked at Xiao Chun. "What are you trying to do?" Before she came to the Sky Dome realm, men were just playthings in her eyes. Even those outstanding talents of the demonic world were just more interesting playthings. However, after seeing Xiao Chun, this man became her nightmare. She had never been so afraid of a person before. At this moment, Yao Manlan's clothes were messy, and her hair was disheveled. She looked like a weak woman, flustered and afraid. Interesting. If someone who did not understand what was going on saw this scene, they would think that he was bullying her. Interesting. Tell me, what do you think you want me for? Xiao Chun smiled faintly. Yao Manlan continued to retreat until she reached the wall. When she had nowhere else to go, she said, "You can't touch me. Otherwise, once we leave the Sky Dome realm, no one will be able to save you." Yao Manlan really thinks that I want to touch her. Xiao Chun could not help laughing hoarsely. Due to his past experiences, Xiao Chun had a favorable impression of Eros demons. Of the demons, he was the least willing to kill Eros demons. However, this Yao Manlan had the appearance of an angel, but the heart of a snake. No one liked her. "Stand up and speak. Let me ask you, do you know of an Eros demon called Lungyu?" Xiao Chun asked. "Lungyu?" The moment Xiao Chun said that, Yao Manlan's heart trembled. Her expression changed drastically. Then, she looked at Xiao Chun and said, "I don't know her. I've never heard of her before." Eros demons had always been good at hiding themselves. However, when Yao Manlan heard Lung Yu's name, her expression changed drastically. Could this Lung Yu really be a major character? Never mind. No matter how major a character is, it has nothing to do with me. Perhaps she has already forgotten about me. Perhaps the other party had already forgotten about the past. How could he engrave it in his heart like he did? If you don't know her, then forget it. Put away that act of yours and leave this place with me. Yao Manlan did not dare to imagine what would happen if Xiao Chun said that indifferently and walked forward. Yao Manlan originally thought that with her abnormal expression, the other party would continue to question her. Who knew? She would get past it so easily. Could this fellow have something going on with Master? You just standing there and not leaving? Do you still want to put on the chains and continue staying here? Xiao Chun asked when he saw that the other party was not moving. Yao Manlan reacted and asked, "What exactly do you want to do? This place cannot hold you. I'll bring you to Qingyun Peak. I'll watch over you personally. Never mind, I'll do it myself." Seeing that the other party seemed to be somewhat foolish, Xiao Chun could not be bothered to waste time, so he restrained her. After leaving, he tossed her into the Flood Dragon War Chariot and flew towards Qingyun Peak. However, what Xiao Chun did not know was that the moment he left, a figure hiding in the darkness of the Sky Dome Palace discovered him. This is troublesome. The The Blue Dragon King, Shao Chun, is personally watching over you. I have to go back and report to the demon monarch Long Yu. After bringing Yao Manlon back to Qingyun Peak, Shao Chun personally interrogated her. However, the other party refused to say anything. In the first place, Shao Chun was not good at interrogating people. Furthermore, he was mindful of the Eros demon Long Yu's kindness to him in the past, so he did not want to use any excessive methods on Yao Manlon. If Yao Manlon did not want to say anything, then so be it. It would be fine as long as she did not cause trouble for him. Shao Chun arranged a wooden hut for Yao Manlon in Qingyun Peak and did not send anyone to watch over her. He only got the female disciples to send her some food regularly. He did not fear Yao Manlon running away. As long as she was 1 kilometer away from Qingyun Peak, Shao Chun would be able to catch up in an instant. In his free time, Shao Chun spent most of his time in the desolate back mountains, cultivating the major magic skill, Dermic World. Dermic World required a Dermic World before one could stand firm in the world. A Dermic World required one to use magic energy to condense a Dermic World in the sea of consciousness, reflecting one's heart. At the same time, one had to absorb the light of the sun and the moon, condensing one's soul in it. It was extremely complicated. In the information that the Mahesvara Buddha gave me, it said that everyone's Dermic World is hidden in the depths of one's heart. It is a projection of one's heart. I wonder what my Dermic World will look like. At the summit of the desolate mountain, Shao Chun sat cross-legged on the ground. Then, he closed his eyes and entered into bitter cultivation. When the sun rose, sunlight shone on Shao Chun's body, dyeing him golden. It felt warm and very comfortable. Shao Chun circulated his mental energy to condense a Dermic World, slowly absorbing the radiance of the sun into his sea of consciousness. The sun set and the moon rose. The blazing golden light on Shao Chun's body vanished, turning into tranquil and peaceful moonlight. Then he absorbed it into his sea of consciousness as well. This cycle continued for 15 days. After a total of 1 month, a miraculous scene of the sun and moon shining together appeared in the depths of Shao Chun's sea of consciousness. At the intersection of sunlight and moonlight, yin and yang merged, and a golden lotus was born. Of course, the golden lotus was not Shao Chun's Dermic World. However, if he used the Buddhist sex method to condense a Dermic World, the Dermic World would be born from the golden lotus. If he used the Taoist sex method, the Dermic World would be born from a purple lotus. Different paths led to the same destination. The tiny golden lotus had just sprouted and urgently needed magic energy to nourish it. Shao Chun was not stingy, slowly gathering his magic energy. He could clearly feel the joy and satisfaction of the golden lotus. Sun and moon shining together, the golden lotus sprouted. The nourishment of magic energy required care and persistence. One could not be too hasty and let the golden lotus grow wildly. Nor could it be too slow, or it would starve the golden lotus to death. Condensing a Dermic World required patience. Although it was complicated, as long as no one disturbed it, it would succeed. The golden lotus bud grew stronger and stronger as layers of lotus leaves covered it. When the flower bloomed, Shao Chun's Dermic World would appear. From then on, it would reside in the depths of his sea of consciousness, guarding it like a deity. Days passed. Shao Chun's magic energy was about to run out. The golden lotus radiance was already extremely resplendent. Chapter 1305. Behind it, there was a Buddhist light that was faintly discernible. Buddhist chants turned into auspicious Buddhist lights that supported the lotus. That was Mahesvara Buddha's blessing for Shao Chun. It would ensure that nothing could go wrong in the process of condensing his Dharma idol. Xiao. Suddenly, all the light in the depths of Shao Chun's sea of consciousness gathered on the golden lotus. All sorts of resplendent lights were withdrawn into the lotus. All sorts of Buddhist chants and Buddhist lights dissipated, leaving only the plain golden lotus. He's here, Shao Chun thought in his heart, feeling both anticipation and anxiety. The golden lotus had bloomed. Soon he would know what his dermic incarnation looked like. 1 petal, 2 petal, 3 petal. The petals of the golden lotus slowly opened. As each petal opened, a faint golden light shot out in all directions. All sorts of afterglow danced in the air like ribbons. When the golden lotus completely bloomed, a pillar of light shot up into the sky. Within the light, there was a green-robed man bathed in golden light like a deity. His appearance was dignified without being angry, and there was a frightening hostility between his brows. His eyes were filled with killing intent, causing others to tremble. His appearance was somewhat similar to Xiao Qian's, but whether it was in terms of temperament or the look in his eyes, there was absolutely no way to associate him with Xiao Qian. Dharma? Is this my Dharma? What a dense killing intent. Even I can't believe it. Xiao Qian was secretly astonished. The Dharma idol was a projection of the depths of his heart. It turned out that in his heart, his evil tendencies were so strong. Something wasn't right. Logically speaking, his hostility shouldn't be so strong. Forget it. Now is not the time to be concerned about this. The Dharma had already been formed. The next step was to merge the body with the Dharma and stand between heaven and earth. After his magic power had recovered, Xiao Qian opened his eyes, got up, and quickly circulated the mental cultivation method of the Dharma idol great magic power. Xiao Qian's body shook slightly, and a faint light flashed in his eyes. With a loud bang, his body inflated like a balloon, and in the next moment, he turned into a 1,000-meter-tall giant. Lunar Shadow Saber. With a thought, the Lunar Shadow Saber appeared in Xiao Qian's hand. It was different from what he expected. The Lunar Shadow Saber also grew larger. What was a divine ability? It was something that surpassed one's imagination and was inconceivable. This was the difference between a divine ability and a magical technique. What a human could do was called a technique, and what a human could not do was called a supernatural power. However, he did not have the time to carefully experience the great power brought about by this dermic world, as well as that extraordinary feeling. A second later, Xiao Qian's body shrank back with a whoosh. Interesting, this is too interesting. It's completely unbelievable. After his body returned to normal, Xiao Qian's heart was still thumping nonstop. This was the feeling brought about by the great divine power. It was truly beyond imagination, inconceivable, and refreshing. Xiao Qian's eyes revealed a look of anticipation. At that moment, I felt that even if it was Emperor Wu, I would be able to kill him with a single slap. And this is just the beginning. In the future, after the first, second, and third transitions, I wonder how powerful it will be. Unfortunately, the only drawback was that it consumed too much magic power. His magic power could only last for a second. Such a short period of time was meaningless in a real battle. I have to undergo the lightning tribulation quickly and cultivate the purple thunder divine incantation to the 8th layer. I need to expand my sea of consciousness and cultivate even more magic energy. The strength of the great divine power made Xiao Qian realize the might of magic skills and the importance of magic energy. In the past, Xiao Qian had not paid enough attention to magic energy. His law energy and primordial energy had been tempered and condensed several times. A strand of law energy could double or even triple the might of an opponent. However, Xiao Qian had never tempered or condensed his magic energy before. He had to pay more attention to this in the future. At this moment, it was already late. However, Xiao Qian could not hide the excitement in his heart. He was currently thinking about where to undergo the lightning tribulation. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion would definitely not do. It would cause too big of a commotion. Who knew what kind of waves it would cause? After thinking about it, there were only two suitable places. One was the deep sea, and the other was the Sky Dome Immortal Realm. As for the specifics, Xiao Qian had not made up his mind yet. There was still something important that he needed to do. He had to let that Eros demon sleep well for a while. At the very least, he could not let her wake up before he returned. Xiao Qian's figure flashed, and he arrived at Yao Manlan's courtyard on Qinyan Peak. When Yao Manlan, who was sighing in the courtyard, saw Xiao Qian suddenly appear, She was startled. Aside from interrogating her at the start, this fellow did not ask about her at all for the next 2 months. It was like he had forgotten about her. However, when Yao Manlon thought about Xiao Qin's methods, she did not dare to run. She spent her days feeling nervous and conflicted. Every day felt like a year filled with grief. After not seeing you for 2 months, your complexion looks so much worse. Did you not eat anything? Xiao Chun asked casually. Yao Manlon retorted hatefully, cut the hypocrisy. What exactly do you want? Either release me or kill me. Give me a quick death. Don't torture me like this. Xiao Chun raised his eyebrows and smiled. When I leave the Sky Dome realm, I will naturally release you. Really? Wild joy welled up in Yao Manlon's heart, and she started to fantasize naively. Xiao Chun walked to the stone table and sat down. Then, he poured himself a cup of tea. Of course, I'm serious. You're not willing to say anything when I ask you. Keeping you around will just be a disaster. Of course, I have to let you go. However, before Yao Manlon could savor the joy on her face, Xiao Chen's next sentence completely shattered it. Of course, the prerequisite is that I cripple your cultivation and shatter your meridians. After being fooled, Yao Manlon cursed, You demon! You scoundrel! There is no one more despicable than you in the world. Xiao Chen picked up his teacup and took a sip. Then he said slowly, You have to pay a corresponding price for what you do. You should understand this principle. Unfortunately, you do not. Compared to a certain Eros demon that I know, you are far inferior. Yao Manlon's heart skipped a beat. A certain Eros demon was her master? That was impossible. Her master was a demon monarch. Of the 18 thrones of the deep abyss demonic world, one of them belonged to her. How could she have any dealings with her? It has been more than 10 years since we last met. The past is like the clouds in the sky. Originally, I thought that it had already gone with the wind. Unexpectedly, young Master Xiao still remembers this servant. The sudden voice made Yao Manlon feel both happy and shocked. She was happy that she was finally saved. She was startled that her master immediately appeared and slapped her in the face when she said that it was impossible in her heart. Xiao Chun turned his head back and saw the Eros demon Lung Yu in the air, dressed in azure-colored clothes. Just like before, Lung Yu is still unique. The natural charm of an Eros demon could not be seen on her face at all. Lung Yu was just like when he first met her, as pure as a lotus flower. However, such a person was the only woman who could successfully charm him. Lung Yu had used her charm technique countless times in the deep sea, saving him from the brink of death. Master, Yao Manlon ran over in pleasant surprise and stood beside Lung Yu. However, she still felt somewhat nervous in her heart. Her master actually personally made a trip to the Sky Dome realm for her. Xiao Chun finished his tea and stood up to look at Lung Yu. He felt that he could not see through her at all. Back then, he already felt that this Eros demon was incredibly mysterious. Now that so many years had passed and his strength had increased significantly, he still could not see through her. Lung Yu seemed very strong and also very weak, unfathomable. There was only one explanation. Back then, Lung Yu's strength had decreased significantly because she was injured. Now, not only did she recover her strength, but she even grew stronger. However, none of this mattered. The other party still had not changed. He was not the only one who remembered the past. Why did Lung Yu remember it so clearly? It was because when she charmed someone, many imaginative scenes would appear. It seemed real and fake at the same time, making it hard to tell whether it was reality or an illusion. Furthermore, this period lasted for 1 year. The Sky Dome realm does not allow Emperor Wu to descend. You should know the rules. Are you going to break this rule for the sake of a disciple? Xiao Chun asked directly, not reminiscing about the past. Lung Yu smiled faintly and said, Although great chaos is coming and there will always be people who break the rules, I do not dare to take this risk. It is just a clone. Sit. Xiao Chun extended his hand and invited Lung Yu to sit. Then, he poured her a cup of tea. Lung Yu picked up the teacup and thanked Xiao Chun softly. I owed you too much back then. Although you said that we were even, I know that I still owe you a lot. If you are willing to let me take Manlon away today, I, the demon monarch Lung Yu, will owe you another favor. The demon monarch Lung Yu. What great background. When Xiao Chun heard this, he smiled bitterly and did not say anything. When Yao Manlan saw Xiao Chun like this, she could not help feeling angry. What kind of status did her master have? She said that she owed him another favor, yet he did not do anything. This was too much. Xiao Chun said calmly, "Is there a need to calculate things so clearly between us? Could it be that past experiences, in your eyes, are just one favor after another?" Lung Yu's heart skipped a beat. Then, she placed the teacup to her lips. Back then, Xiao Chun was young and arrogant, showing off his sharpness without any scruples. Although he was a man of few words, he dared to draw his saber with a thought for her, saying that he would help her kill. This gave Yao Manlan a sense of security that she, a demon monarch, had never felt before. The various things of the past were buried deep in her heart, indelibly. When Yao Manlan recovered her strength and sat back on the demon monarch throne, she would occasionally think of that white-robed bladesman who was willing to stand up for her. Several times, Yao Manlan even doubted whether she was moved. However, so what if she was moved? It was impossible to be separated from a demon in the first place. Furthermore, she was a demon monarch, an aloof and powerful demon monarch. Later, Yao Manlan learned that the other party had gained great fame in the Kunlun realm, becoming the legend of the Blue Dragon King. Yao Manlan felt happy for him, but also worried. If this continued, the two of them would end up on opposite sides sooner or later. It was better to forget about that white-robed youth who dared to pull her behind him and face a strong enemy alone. Now that Yao Manlan saw the other party again and saw that he was so strong at such a young age, she knew that the two of them would become enemies sooner or later. Lung Yu recovered her expression very quickly. From the outside, no one could tell that anything was wrong. She drained the tea in one gulp, not leaving anything behind. Dong! The teacup landed on the table moderately. Enduring the pain in her heart, Lung Yu smiled and said, "If it is not a favor, then what does the Blue Dragon King think it is? Or do you think that this monarch's favor is not big enough? What other requests do you have? If you need primordial pills, I can give them to you as well. All you have to do is say the word." This smile was emotionless, like falling into an ice cave, chilling one's heart. The past was like the wind, scattered long ago. The final hope in Xiao Chen's heart shattered. Perhaps it would be better for an old friend to exist in his dreams. Chapter 1306. Lung Yu remained expressionless, his expression scarily cold. He drained the tea in his hand in one gulp and said indifferently, "Let's go. Demon Monarch Lung Yu, remember that you owe me, Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun, a favor." Lung Yu could still smile when the other party was heartless. However, Xiao Chun could not smile no matter what. Is he leaving? However, Yao Manlan felt something strange. Why does the atmosphere seem somewhat off? Lung Yu's heart bled, but she still maintained a smile. She stood up and said, "Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun is indeed magnanimous. Now that I see you today, you truly live up to your reputation. This demon monarch will remember this favor." Whoosh! As Lung Yu carried Yao Manlan, she did not seem reluctant to leave at all. She left as soon as she said so, showing no intention of turning back. The last bit of hope in Xiao Chen's heart vanished. The teacup in his hand shattered with a loud bang. The shard stabbed into his palm, and blood slowly flowed out. It was a ghastly sight. Xiao Chen did not have many friends. Friends who had gone through life and death with him were even fewer. Since they were friends, he naturally did not care about the other party's identity. However, back then, when Xiao Chan said that they would meet again if fate willed it, how could he have expected that after they met again, it would be such a situation? Actually, given Xiao Chen's sharp eyes and meticulous thoughts, he should have been able to catch the change in Lung Yu's expression in that instant. However, Xiao Chen clearly understood why Lung Yu's heart fluttered. He just did not want to admit it. Although some things were hazy, they were very real, unforgettable. Far away, Lung Yu carried Yao Manlan through the void. She should have returned directly to the demonic world. However, she suddenly stopped and landed at the seaside. She could no longer keep up the pretense. She covered her face and squatted down in pain. Master, Yao Manlan felt a strange sourness in her heart. By now, she had already vaguely guessed what happened between her doting master and the Blue Dragon King Shao Chun. However, how could an Eros demon fall in love? Furthermore, this was the Blue Dragon King Shao Chun. Once he advanced to martial emperor, he would definitely clash with the demonic world. After a long time, Lung Yu stood up. There seemed to be traces of tears on her face. However, her expression had already recovered the dignity and indifference that a demon monarch should have. Feng Zi acted on his own this time, thinking that by obtaining the Sky Dome heart, the winged demon monarch will view him in a different light. However, he didn't know that he had committed a great taboo. It would have been fine if he had gotten it, but who knew that he wouldn't have gotten it? Now, his father has already imprisoned him in the demon prison. When Yao Manlan heard this, she was startled, forgetting what she had just said. She cried out hoarsely, "Then what about the amber heart that he promised me?" Cold Rain did not say anything. A tricolored amber, filled with alluring light, appeared in her palm. "I got it from the demonic wind monarch. If it is yours, it will be yours." "Master, I was wrong." Yao Manlan lowered her head and said with tears in her eyes. "Lung Yu whispered, you are not wrong. You just met someone you should not have met." "Who exactly is he?" Yao Manlan plucked up her courage and asked. "He is the person this emperor wants to meet the most in this life. He is also the person this emperor wants to see the most in this life." Wanting to see the most and wanting to see the most seemed contradictory, yet not contradictory at all. Suddenly, Lung Yu's expression changed. Then, she led Yao Manlan away and hid their auras in the seawater. A strong gust of wind blew behind him as a white figure flew over on the clouds. That figure landed and stood at the seaside, looking into the distance as if searching for something. Through the icy seawater, Lung Yu clearly saw that figure's appearance. It was Shao Chun, who had chased after them from Qinyan Peak. Drip, drip. Blood continuously dripped from Shao Chen's right hand. The wound on his palm looked horrifying. Lung Yu felt a pang in her heart. When she looked up, she saw Shao Chun smiling bitterly. His lips moved as if he was saying something. "I, Shao Chun, have never misjudged a person. Was I really wrong this time?" In the seawater, Lung Yu covered her mouth. She could not hold back her tears, letting them flow freely. As he looked at the seaside, Shao Chen's thoughts fluctuated. Then, he revealed a self-mocking smile. He already guessed the result, yet he still foolishly came over, thinking that he could see the scene he anticipated. After a long time, Shao Chun slowly calmed down. He muttered to himself, "I'll just take it that I saw wrong. However, thank you for that 1 year. Goodbye." Shao Chun gently pushed off with his feet, and his figure flashed. In a few blinks of an eye, he vanished from where he was, heading for the depths of the sea. He wanted to undergo his tribulation, the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation's 8th layer. He wanted to forget this unhappiness, to completely forget it amid the 10,000 bolts of lightning. Splash! Water splashed up, and Lung Yu and Yao Manlan leaped out of the water. Lung Yu looked into the distance, not saying anything for a long time. Her gaze seemed to be able to see very far. She could see that Shao Chun was really rushing towards the deep sea without even looking back. Based on his hurried figure, she could see that he was resolute and decisive, not showing any reluctance to leave. "Master, he is really pretty good. Why didn't you come out?" Yao Manlan asked softly. In all fairness, in Yao Manlan's opinion, the Blue Dragon King Shao Chun was indeed a very charming person. Lung Yu muttered, "The better he is, the more we cannot meet. Great chaos is coming. You don't know this, but in this great calamity, only one of the demonic world where the Kunlun realm can survive. No one can avoid this fate. We will eventually meet on the battlefield. What is he going to do now? Is he going to give chase to the demonic world?" Yao Manlan asked softly. Lung Yu felt worried in her heart. She shook her head and said, "It doesn't seem like it. He cannot go to our demonic world's lair in the Sky Dome realm. Manlan, go back by yourself. I'll follow and take a look." Yao Manlan nodded gently. She knew that since her master made this decision, there was no way to dissuade her. Amid the strong winds, Xiao Chun stepped on the sea. There were countless desolate sea regions in the vast deep sea, too many to count. There were many places to take the tribulation. Xiao Chun did not hesitate and landed on one of the desolate islands. The island was desolate. Aside from rocks and tall mountains piled with rocks, there was nothing else. The purple thunder divine incantation's 8th layer lightning tribulation should have happened 3 years ago. However, he delayed it until now to be safe. Now that he had a half-step golden body, condensed a heart of an emperor, and cultivated primordial energy, it would be easy for him to undergo the lightning tribulation from 3 years ago. It would be just like when he fought his opponent 3 years ago. He would be able to kill his opponent effortlessly. No matter how many lightning tribulations there were, Xiao Chun did not fear them. There was only the final heart tribulation, the heart demon tribulation. There were too many unknowns. During the previous lightning tribulation, Xiao Chun also fell to the final heart demon tribulation. He could not make it through, so he got Ao Jiao to help. Ao Jiao, don't make a move this time. Otherwise, even if I succeed in my tribulation, the heart demon will accompany me for life, Xiao Chun said seriously. Ao Jiao, who was in the immortal spirit ring, nodded. I know. I am too deeply involved with you. If I make a move this time, your heart demon will be even more severe. However, worry flashed in Ao Jiao's eyes. However, is this really the right time to undergo the tribulation? Of course, she did not fear the lightning tribulation. With Xiao Chen's half-step golden body, he should be able to endure the 8th layer of the lightning tribulation without any problems. However, the final heart tribulation was hard to say. In the Sky Dome realm, Xiao Chun had experienced 2 setbacks. The first was when Lu Riyue's fate was unknown and she left this abandoned land. The second was now. Xiao Chun had misjudged her, causing his heart to waver. Undergoing the tribulation now was not appropriate. Simply not appropriate. Ao Jiao wanted to advise Xiao Chun. However, Xiao Chun had already made up his mind, so there was no point in saying anything more. Just as Ao Jiao was about to say something, she sighed and pulled back. Let's begin. Xiao Chun crushed an essence stone in his hand. Surging and pure spiritual energy surged towards the purple whirlpool in his dantian. Unlike before, Xiao Chun did not send the absorbed energy into his heart of an emperor. Instead, he let that whirlpool absorb the vast spiritual energy. Boom! The whirlpool, which had been suppressed for so long, did not last for long before exploding. It was so fast that it somewhat surpassed Xiao Chen's expectations. It was clear that the purple thunder divine incantation's 7th layer could no longer hold on and needed to break through. It was like a barrel of gunpowder. With just a spark, it gave off a startling explosion. As the explosion rang out in Xiao Chen's body, the boundless thunderclouds within 500 kilometers of him gathered above his head like a vast army. Lung Yu, who was hidden in the distance, felt startled. Xiao Chun was undergoing a tribulation. However, this was not the great tribulation of wind and fire, but the lightning tribulation, which made her feel slightly more at ease. Even if he is undergoing a lightning tribulation, he should not have done it now, Lung Yu said with some resentment as she bit her lip. At the same time, she blamed herself. Had she known that Xiao Chun was undergoing a tribulation, she would not have been so heartless. What if he got injured in the lightning tribulation? Whether she was willing or not, the matter had already happened. The lightning tribulation had already begun. Boom! When the first bolt of lightning descended, Xiao Chun gladly endured it. Following that, a continuous barrage of lightning followed, not giving him any time to catch his breath. After 100 bolts of lightning, Xiao Chun used his primordial energy to erect a shield. Given Xiao Chen's experience, this was just an appetizer. The main course would come later. Previously, it was 3 nines. 999 bolts of completely different divine lightning struck Xiao Chun until he wished for death, tormenting him half to death. His physical body nearly turned into mud. However, this time it was fine. Xiao Chen's strength had already undergone a drastic change. It was equivalent to having Emperor Wu's strength endure the blue-robed emperor's lightning tribulation. As Xiao Chan expected, after 100 bolts of lightning, all sorts of divine lightning appeared. Some were like weapons, turning into sabers, spears, swords, staffs, and all sorts of lightning weapons, materializing all sorts of killing moves as they descended from the sky. Some turned into ferocious beasts, rearing their heads to the sky and roaring. Some gathered into all sorts of secret treasures, imitating all sorts of might, wanting to crush Xiao Chan. Some turned into mountains, looking majestic and majestic. Some stretched out endlessly, and some rose up strangely, wanting to suppress Xiao Chan. After withstanding more than 300 bolts of divine lightning, the shield shattered. Xiao Chan drew his lunar shadow saber and started to clash with the various divine lightning. He executed everything he learned to deal with the descending divine lightning. Although this was very startling and incredibly dangerous, it was very stable. Everything was within his control. Xiao Chan still had many trump cards that he had not used yet. The number of nines passed long ago. It looks like my divine lightning this time should be 4 nines, a total of 9,999 bolts. Xiao Chan calculated in his heart. At the same time, he marveled at how powerful this purple thunder divine incantation was. If he were only as strong as the blue-robed emperor, he would definitely die try to take this lightning tribulation. He would not be able to last until the heart tribulation arrived. Chapter 1307. The further he went, the more dangerous the lightning tribulations became. Xiao Chan was no longer in the mood to count how many lightning tribulations he had undergone. Amid the flashing lightning and roaring thunder, he was like a small boat full of misfortune, in danger of being destroyed at any moment. Xiao Chan had used up all his trump cards. Finally, he relied on the Taiji force field to hold on and clear all the lightning tribulations. The tribulation clouds in the sky scattered, and Xiao Chan heaved a sigh of relief. His clothes were tattered, but his physical body was still intact. It was much better than the first time. The heart tribulation should be arriving soon. Xiao Chan became exceptionally cautious. Previously, he fell to the heart tribulation. He absolutely could not fall again this time. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, a hole opened in the sky. An intense light poured down, dazzling Xiao Chen's eyes. When he opened his eyes, he discovered that he was on Qingyan Peak. Lu Riyue was beside him. She smiled warmly and said, "You are finally willing to come back. Are you still leaving this time?" The familiar face, the familiar voice, and the gentle words. Even if one knew it was fake, one would not be willing to break this rare silence. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and held Lu Riyue's hands. He said, "I'm not leaving this time." "Good, then it's settled. You're not allowed to leave this time." Lu Riyue smiled faintly and held Xiao Chen's hands tightly. She could not bear to let go no matter what. The days passed like this on Qingyan Peak. Xiao Chen accompanied Lu Riyue as they wandered around the heavenly saber pavilion, enjoying the peaceful and warm time. There were no conflicts, no pressure from the Blue Dragon King, no enemies on the path of cultivation. There was only happiness. The two would argue over trivial matters. They would be moved over trivial matters. They would cry, laugh, and even make a fuss. Even though Xiao Chun knew it was fake, he was still filled with reluctance. He wanted to leave several times. However, Lu Riyue's pitiful gaze defeated him, so he agreed to stay for 1 more month. The lightning tribulation was easy to clear, but the heart tribulation was difficult. Could Xiao Chun clear it this time? Month after month, Xiao Chun stayed in this heart demon world for 1 year. But no matter how long he stayed, he would have to leave one day. What was fake was fake. On this particular day, Xiao Chun felt like leaving. He hugged Lu Riyue and said, "Even if you're destined to leave, I should see you one last time and not watch you leave in Sui Feng's memories." Tears appeared in the corners of Lu Riyue's eyes as she pushed Xiao Chun away. She looked at him and said, "Are you leaving? Promise me. Stay with me for 1 more month, okay? Just 1 more month, just 1 more month, and I'll be satisfied." The corners of Xiao Chen's eyes were also brimming with tears. He said in a trembling voice, "All right, I promise you, but you have to close your eyes first. As long as you promise me, I will listen to everything you say." Lu Ryue immediately smiled and obediently closed her eyes. "Sorry." Holding back the tears in his eyes, Xiao Chun swung his saber and chopped off Lu Ryue's head. There were some things that even if you knew it was fake, it was still difficult to do anything about it. Whoosh! The scene before Xiao Chun changed. Ao Jiao leaped out joyfully and said, "Congratulations, you finally cleared this heart tribulation." Xiao Chun forced out a smile. His heart was still immersed in the illusion, in that peaceful and happy atmosphere. That kind of beauty was something one could not bear to part with. This was the horror of a heart demon. Even if one knew it was fake, one would still treat the fake as the truth, forever unable to walk out. Fortunately, Xiao Chun managed to walk out in the end. He wanted to feel the effects of the purple thunder divine incantation's 8th layer. Suddenly, Xiao Chun frowned. He looked up and discovered a figure hidden in the clouds. "Who is it?" Xiao Chun shouted and gave chase at lightning speed. The clouds parted, and he saw a clear figure. Xiao Chun felt somewhat disappointed and frustrated. Then he rejoiced. "Lung Yu. It's her. It's her. I did not see wrong. She did not go far. She has been following me." Executing the fish dragon arts movement technique, Xiao Chun flew over at lightning speed, chasing after Lung Yu. This time, Xiao Chun swore in his heart that he would not show a straight face on purpose. As a man, he should learn to understand and not act in a fit of pique. As Xiao Chun gave chase, he focused all his attention on that pretty figure in front of him. What heart demon? What purple thunder divine incantation? He had already forgotten all about it. "Lung Yu, since you can't bear to part with me, why can't you meet me now?" Xiao Chun shouted loudly when he saw the other party getting further and further away. The figure in front of Zhang Xian froze, as if something had triggered her, and her speed slowed down. Xiao Chun took advantage of this opportunity and increased his speed. He leaped into the air and finally landed in front of Lung Yu, blocking her. Their eyes met. Xiao Chun felt many emotions. After a long time, he said calmly, "Even if you were a demon monarch with overwhelming strength, if you are willing, I, Xiao Chun, will always be your friend." Lung Yu shook her head and smiled. "It is not as simple as you think. There are too many things that you do not understand." Suddenly, Xiao Chun grabbed Lung Yu's shoulders and said sullenly, "Look at me. I'll ask you one thing. Back then, did you see only one person? I just want you to tell me. Yes or no?" Lung Yu showed a conflicted expression. Tears welled up in her eyes as she said, "Don't force me." Xiao Chun smiled. He already knew the answer. Lung Yu had indeed been acting earlier. That smile was incredibly cruel, just to hide the struggle in her heart. She was not as heartless as Xiao Chun thought. Letting go of Lung Yu, Xiao Chun smiled and said, "I won't force you. I just need to know that you have not forgotten the past. That is enough." Lung Yu smiled and said, "How can I forget that past? If I really did, I would not be so reluctant to part with you. Don't move. Let me look at that past again. After that, I'll leave, all right?" Lung Yu begged. Xiao Chun understood that Lung Yu wanted him to open his heart and search for that memory in the depths of his memories. "Sure, come in. I have never forgotten this part of the past." Xiao Chun smiled faintly and let Lung Yu place her finger on his forehead. In the real world, on a calm sea, Ao Jiao circled around Xiao Chun anxiously. 7 days had passed since the lightning tribulation, but Xiao Chun still had not woken up. Xiao Chun did not know what he had experienced in the heart demon world that completely entangled him. Ao Jiao felt sorrowful in her heart. If this continued, Xiao Chun's heart would definitely be swallowed up by the heart demon. He would become a heartless body, never to wake up again. However, she could not help it all. Xiao Chun could only rely on himself for such matters. Only an expert whose mental energy cultivation reached the level of the heaven-abandoning deity sovereign could interfere. Not to mention the fact that Emperor Forsaken would not come to help Xiao Chun. Even if he did, 7 days had already passed. It might not be of any use. Up in the clouds, Lung Yu's expression turned grave. She had already cultivated her charm techniques to the point where she could infiltrate the mind. With one glance, she could tell that Xiao Chun was undergoing a heart tribulation. However, 7 days had passed, and Xiao Chun still had not woken up. Not good. The heart demon probably caught hold of his weakness. I have to go and take a look. Originally, Leng Yu was prepared to never face Xiao Chun again. However, now that Xiao Chun was in danger, she could no longer care so much. A purple mark flickered on Leng Yu's forehead. A strong wind blew, and a strong aura spread out from her body. The clouds scattered, revealing Leng Yu in azure, looking tyrannical as she hovered in midair. At this moment, the demon monarch Leng Yu did not look weak at all. Leng Yu's strong aura caused the vast and boundless sea to tremble in fear, kicking up huge waves. Ao Jiao looked up. However, before she could understand what was going on, she fainted the moment she saw Leng Yu's eyes. Leng Yu floated down and placed a finger on Xiao Chen's forehead. A horrifying scene appeared before her eyes. His heart, which was beating nonstop, had already been half occupied by the black shadow. It looked as if an ugly monster was going to swallow the tender heart whole. What exactly is it that made him completely defenseless, opening up his heart? Does this fellow not know that he is undergoing a heart tribulation? The demon monarch Leng Yu exclaimed. Then, she directly entered that heart. Whoosh! The scene before Leng Yu changed. She saw a scene that caused her mind to go blank. She saw Xiao Chun closing his eyes, letting her touch his forehead with her finger. The two revealed smiles on their faces. However, Xiao Chen's smile was blissful and serene. Leng Yu's smile was strange and sinister. To think that Xiao Chen opened up his heart for her. Damn it to the extreme. Rage surged in Leng Yu's heart. Her expression turned cold. She had never felt so furious before. Insignificant heart demon. Who gave you the courage to touch this monarch's person? Leng Yu roared as she walked over step by step. The demon monarch's tyranny made others not dare to look her in the eye. The heart demon Leng Yu, who was in front of Xiao Chun, turned her head and was startled, turning pale. Still not stopping. Do you believe that this monarch will lock you in a heart prison and let the heart flame burn you for 1,000 years, 10,000 years? The heart demon Leng Yu trembled, quickly letting go in fright. Xiao Chun slowly woke up. He recalled the memories he had with Leng Yu back then. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and saw two Leng Yu before him. One was lying on the ground, looking very weak. The other had a cold and emotionless face and a frightening, killing chi. Her gaze revealed a strong, tyrannical aura. Xiao Chun, she is a heart demon. Quickly, save me. The heart demon Leng Yu said as she sobbed. Leng Yu frowned and shouted coldly, How dare you? Leng Yu waved her long sleeves, and the heart demon Leng Yu's body immediately burned. She cried out in pain and reverted to her original form. That clump of ugly, illusory light changed continuously as she wailed in pain. Xiao Chun seemed to wake up from a dream. He looked at Leng Yu, who gave off the boundless sovereign aura. However, he felt somewhat confused, not knowing what was going on. Leng Yu walked over step by step, and her expression turned gentle. You opened up your heart to the heart demon. The situation is critical. Don't ask anything now. I already occupied this heart demon's true body. If you kill me now, you can come out. Xiao Chun felt like he was dreaming. You did not leave all this while. Are you watching me undergo my tribulation? Leng Yu smiled sadly. If something happens to you, I will not be able to rest easy. After saying that, Leng Yu grabbed Xiao Chen's hand and stabbed it into her heart. Boom! All the illusions vanished, and Xiao Chun returned to reality. He saw blood leaking out of a corner of Leng Yu's lips. Her finger, which was on Xiao Chen's forehead, relaxed. Chapter 1308. Xiao Chun felt a pang in his heart. He quickly stretched out his hand to grab it. However, Leng Yu's body turned into light and scattered. Leng Yu revealed a smile as she caressed Xiao Chen's face with her other hand. Don't overthink. The relationship between you and me is not something that can be explained with words like favor. Whether you are the Blue Dragon King of the Kunlun realm or me, the demon monarch in my heart, You will always be that frivolous youth who left me behind." Right after Xiao Chun spoke, Leng Yu's body turned into nothing. This clone died for the sake of saving Xiao Chun. At the same time, in a cold and magnificent palace in the deep abyss demonic world, Leng Yu wore luxurious yellow robes and had her eyes closed, exuding a cold and noble air. Many figures stood on both sides of the throne. Without exception, they were all handsome men with strong auras. There were humans, fiend race, deity race, and demon race. These were Leng Yu's heart slaves, all her slaves. When the clone died, Leng Yu, who was on the throne, opened her eyes. All the heart slaves knelt down and shouted respectfully, "Master!" Leng Yu did not even look at them. She stretched out her hand, and a beam of light materialized into a white-clad youth with a treasured saber hanging at his waist. There are thousands of handsome men in the world. The demon monarch, Leng Yu, is moved only by you. What happened in the illusion happened in reality as well. What was real and what was fake? What was real and what was fake? Even Xiao Chun could not distinguish them. No wonder the heart demon could find an opening. Xiao Chun closed his eyes and looked at his dantian. The purple electric chi whirlpool had clearly doubled in size. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and finally understood. In the illusion, when he checked the 8th layer of the purple thunder divine incantation, all sorts of things attracted his attention, preventing him from checking it. This was because even Xiao Chun did not know what the 8th layer of the purple thunder divine incantation was like. Naturally, he could not create a heart demon in the illusion. Now that he saw the chi whirlpool formed by the 8th layer of the purple thunder divine incantation and his sea of consciousness that had expanded by 4 or 5 times, he finally knew that he was truly standing in reality. After a while, Xiao Chun guffawed loudly. Leng Yu had indeed not changed. Xiao Chun had not misjudged her. There was an indescribable carefreeness in Xiao Chun's laughter, as if a knot in his heart had been untied. After laughing, a feeling of hunger suddenly came from every part of his body. Not only did the cyclone in his dantian feel hungry, but the nascent soul in his sea of consciousness was also crying piteously for food. Since he reached the consummation blue-robed emperor, his cultivation had stopped. After that, Xiao Chun, he had not felt this hunger in a long time. Unfortunately, this was the Sky Dome realm and not the Kunlun realm. Otherwise, it would be like a fish in the sea, comfortable and carefree. Xiao Chun's face lit up in joy. The progress that he had been waiting for was finally here. Xiao Chun, Qi, Xiao, and Chun, and a Yun, and in the Xiao, and in Ji Chun. After the purple thunder divine incantation converted the spiritual energy from the essence stones, it split into 2 parts. One flowed to his sea of consciousness, increasing his magic energy. The other flowed to the blue dragon yuanying, increasing his cultivation. In merely 1 hour, the 2 essence stones were completely drained, turning into useless rocks. His body was not satisfied yet. Xiao Chun tossed them aside and continued to take out the 2 essence stones to cultivate. Right now, he urgently needed these cultivation resources, so he did not feel any reluctance to part with them. Time passed slowly. After 3 days, the hunger in Xiao Chun's body was no longer as pressing. The magic energy flowing in his enlarged sea of consciousness already occupied half of it. Counting carefully, the magic energy was more than double that of the purple thunder divine incantation's 7th layer. Furthermore, it was purer. When Xiao Chun filled his sea of consciousness, his magic energy would be much stronger. However, this was not the greatest change. The greatest change was in his blue dragon yuanying. The blue dragon martial spirit residing in his dantian felt like it had undergone a qualitative leap. However, the price was startling as well. In the past 3 days, Xiao Chun had used up double the 20,000 essence stones that he had. Xiao Chun sighed softly. If I were in the Kunlun realm, given the abundant spiritual energy of the Kunlun realm, I would have been able to save at least 5,000 essence stones. Although Xiao Chun said this, he did not regret it. There were too many uncertainties in the Kunlun realm. he might not have been able to clear his tribulation so smoothly in the Kunlun realm. Xiao Chun, you cleared your heart tribulation? Ao Jiao, who had been unconscious for 3 days, slowly woke up. She still felt somewhat groggy. Xiao Chun smiled and said, I did. It's been hard on you. Ao Jiao smiled embarrassedly and said, What hard on me? I'm too embarrassed to say that I actually fell asleep. Damn it. Xiao Chun understood that Ao Jiao should not have fallen asleep. Lung, you must have made her fall asleep. Come, let's return to Qinyan Peak. In the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Xiao Chen's life became exceptionally peaceful. Aside from cultivating, he would wander around. Occasionally, he would see some of his old friends in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The Taiji Dao, the Saber Domain, and the major magic skill of Dermic World slowly calmed down during these peaceful days. Sometimes, when Xiao Chun calmed down, he vaguely felt that the Emperor's bridge that connected the world to the chasm was already mostly completed. Xiao Chun stood on the bridge and looked across. The heavy fog surrounding the Emperor's door had already significantly dissipated. The great tribulation of wind and fire approached. It was fine in the Sky Dome realm. When Xiao Chun cultivated, he could even hear the sound of surging winds and blazing flames. Under such circumstances, Xiao Chun had already stopped cultivating his primordial energy and heavenly sage laws. He feared that if he made a mistake, the great tribulation of wind and fire would suddenly descend, catching him off guard. Xiao Chun focused all his attention on the cultivation of his magic energy, continuously tempering and polishing his magic energy, making it even purer. Now, he could maintain the major magic skill of Dermic World for 3 seconds. One should not underestimate these 3 seconds. 3 seconds of Dermic World was sufficient for Xiao Chun to do many things. If he used it at a crucial moment, he could instantly reverse the situation and turn the situation around. The Taiji Dao, the mysteries of stillness and movement, fast and slow, had already formally entered the introductory stage. This Taiji Dao was like a brand new door, opening a completely different world for Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun's cultivation of the fish dragon art slowly entered an optimal state. When he dodged, he nearly completely infused it into the Taiji Dao. The cultivation of the Saber Domain entered a completely different realm, a comprehension that had never been recorded in the Kunlun realm before. Now, Xiao Chun had cultivated 3 spots of light like the sun in his sea of consciousness. Xiao Chun did not know what they were exactly. He only knew that when he touched them, they would be extremely mighty, as horrifying as the sun exploding. In the blink of an eye, 1 year had passed since Xiao Chun left the Kunlun realm and arrived in the Sky Dome realm. On this particular day, Yu Chenxi, Gong Yangyu, and Xianyuan Zhantian traveled together to Qinyan Peak, where Xiao Chun was. Are we leaving? Xiao Chun asked. The 3 nodded. They were different from Xiao Chun. Right now, Xiao Chun could no longer raise his cultivation. He mainly focused on cultivating his mental state and cultivating his magic energy. Furthermore, they were in their golden years and needed to take risks and encounter great fortuitous encounters to raise their cultivation. They could not remain in the Sky Dome realm for long. Half a year was already a very long time. If they were in the Kunlun realm, half a year would be enough to raise their cultivation by 1 grade. Right now, the Sky Dome realm looks peaceful on the surface, but in reality, there are undercurrents. One day, it will erupt, Yu Chenxi said worriedly. At the mention of this, Xianyuan Zhantian felt worried. He nodded and said, Indeed. My father told me that there will be a great change in the Kunlun realm. Great chaos is coming. Right now, this is just the calm before the storm. From the moment Feng Zi started snatching the Sky Dome heart, Xiao Chun had already anticipated that there would be a great change in the Sky Dome realm. Xiao Chun knew even more than these 3. He had learned from Yingyu that the great chaos 10,000 years ago, which caused the Tianwu Emperor and the Qing Emperor to fall at the same time, started in the Sky Dome realm. With such worry, even if they left, they would not feel at ease. Xiao Chun said, How about this? Bring your families to my Xiao clan. I laid a formation there that could defend against Emperor Wu. Even if there is great chaos in the future, It will be a buffer, giving us time to send reinforcements. That is good. Yu Chenxi and the other two rejoiced. On this trip to the Kunlun realm, the ones they worried about the most were their families. With Xiao Chen's words, they finally had something to worry about. Xiao Chun smiled faintly. Then he thought of something and said, "There are a few people in my Xiao clan with pretty good talent. This time, I'll have to trouble you to bring them to the Kunlun realm. If you have time, help me take care of them. Don't worry, just leave this small matter to us." As Xiao Chun watched the three leave excitedly, he revealed a contemplative expression on his calm face. Everything that happened in the Sky Dome Immortal realm still made him feel uneasy. Something must have happened in the Kunlun realm. Otherwise, the three holy masters would not be so bold as to send people to the Sky Dome realm to seek trouble for him. Everyone says that great chaos is coming. How chaotic will it be? Xiao Chun asked as he swirled the teacup in his hand. Just at this moment, Xiao Chun frowned slightly. He felt a fluctuation, and he immediately looked into the distance. At the limits of his vision was the ancient desolate land, the hidden dragon lake, the first-generation Tianwu Emperor's grave. This was strange. Back then, the formation that Xiao Chun used to seal the first-generation Tianwu Emperor's grave was considered powerful in the Sky Dome realm. However, it could not block an existence on the level of the blue-robed emperor. However, even after so many years, no one had touched the first-generation Tianwu Emperor's grave. Many people should be interested in such a person. However, no one had broken the formation that Xiao Chun left. Xiao Chun was the one who laid the formation, and the formation flags were his secret treasures. As long as there was any movement, he would be able to sense it immediately. Back then, when Xiao Chun left the formation, he did not intend to block everyone. He only wanted to be able to rush over immediately when someone touched the formation. However, no one touched it. Was it because they feared his reputation and did not dare to touch it? Xiao Chun felt that this possibility was very low. The greater reason might be because of Chu Chaoyan. This person definitely held a high position in the deep abyss demonic world. Perhaps Xiao Chun had instructed the demons not to touch it. As for the people of the Sky Dome realm, they gave him face and did not touch it. However, there was a sudden fluctuation today. Someone was touching the formation that Xiao Chun left behind. Strange. Xiao Chun stood up and casually tore space, rushing towards the ancient desolate land at lightning speed. 10,000 years ago, the ancient desolate land had been the capital of the Tianwu dynasty, the center of the entire Sky Dome realm. With the fall of the dynasty, the prosperity of the past was no more. Now, this place had turned into a stretch of endless lakes. Chapter 1309. Whoosh! Xiao Chun appeared in the sky above the ancient desolate land. He felt that the attacks on the formation had suddenly stopped. The formation that Xiao Chun laid was still there. This startled Xiao Chun. It was not that someone was truly trying to break the formation. They just wanted to lure him over. Who could it be? However, Xiao Chun did not fear this. Right now, he believed that no one in the Sky Dome realm was a match for him. Even major characters like the three holy masters did not dare to send people to seek trouble for him. After Xiao Chun snatched away 3 sets of peak-quality king-grade battle armor, Xiao Chun only felt suspicious. Who exactly was the person who lured him over? Was he not afraid of death? Xiao Chun extended his spiritual sense everywhere he looked, immediately covering the entire lake in the ancient desolate land. The cultivators on the various islands and lakes with different expressions could not escape Xiao Chun's eyes. After scanning the entire lake and withdrawing his spiritual sense, Xiao Chun still could not find anyone suspicious. Just as Xiao Chun's gaze shifted, he noticed a back view. The owner of this back view sat at the edge of the ancient desolate land with a sword on his back. As he looked at the lake in the ancient desolate land, he entered a daze, his face filled with grief. Just by looking at this back view, one could sense the sorrow and vicissitudes of life in his heart. It's him. Xiao Chun slowly descended and walked over step by step. With one look, he guessed who this back view was. It was the Tianwu dynasty's descendant, Chu Chaoyan. Chu Chaoyan did not have any special aura. He looked ordinary. When the other cultivators passed by, saw this appearance, they all felt confused. They all felt that they didn't know what was going on and found it hard to understand. Why was Chu Chaoyun staring at the lake in a daze for no reason? Furthermore, he even put on a sorrowful expression. Who was he showing this to? When Xiao Chan saw this scene, he suddenly thought of a saying, "Those who know me know my worries. Those who do not know me know what I seek." Those who knew the ins and outs, like Xiao Chun, naturally knew. Chu Chaoyun was just reminiscing. 10,000 years ago, this was the most bustling place in the Sky Dome realm, the center of the entire world. Carriages and people came and went, and the banners of the Tianwu dynasty filled the air. However, 10,000 years later, the city was gone, and the capital was destroyed. All that could be seen was a vast lake. As a descendant of the dynasty, he would probably feel deeply moved every time he saw it. However, outsiders did not know that those martial artists who passed by only saw a silly boy staring blankly at the lake. When he saw Chu Chaoyun, he was certain that he was the one who had led him here. As if he had eyes at the back of his head, Chu Chaoyun seemed to have sensed Xiao Chen's arrival. He suddenly got up and dashed forward. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat, and he chased after him. As the chase continued, they arrived at the hidden dragon lake. Chu Chaoyun dove into the lake with a plop. After hesitating for a moment, Xiao Chun evaluated his strength. Even if there was an ambush below, he would be able to escape if he executed Dermic World and even kill his opponent. Without any hesitation, Xiao Chun quickly followed after Chu Chaoyun and entered the hidden dragon lake. When Xiao Chun reached the bottom of the lake and passed through the invisible barrier, he saw Chu Chaoyun hovering in the air above the Tianwu Emperor's grave. Aside from Chu Chaoyun, there was no one else in the surroundings. There was no ambush that Xiao Chun feared. Xiao Chun walked over calmly and asked, "What do you want by luring me here?" "Chu Chaoyun, you can speak now, right?" Before the Tianwu Emperor's grave, Chu Chaoyun turned around and looked at Xiao Chun. Then, he revealed a smile and said, "It's nothing. I just want to see how strong you are now." Xiao Chun was now extremely calm. He asked indifferently, "In that case, are you really seeking death?" Chu Chaoyun smiled and said, "Indeed. Aside from Emperor Wu, no one is a match for you. Even the most horrifying, outstanding talents of the royal clans in the deep abyss demonic world might not be a match for you. However, when judging a person, one should not just look at what is in front of them. More importantly, one has to look at the future. I am here to see if you have any hope of clearing your tribulation." Xiao Chun said interestedly, "Many thanks for your concern. In that case, what do you think my chances are?" Chu Chaoyun replied unhurriedly, "With your strength, I feel that you have a 10% chance." Xiao Chun smiled and said, 10%? That is quite a high chance. Since ancient times, not even 1 in 10,000 people have cleared their great tribulation of wind and fire. I'm not done yet. If we consider external factors, your chances of clearing your tribulation would be 1 in 10,000. Chu Chaoyun paused for a moment before continuing, "Perhaps you do not know yet, but the Thunder King's 10,000-year tribulation arrived early. Now, there is no news of him. His fate is unknown. No one knows any news of him." "What?" "You heard right. Now, there is no news of the Thunder King. Many rumors say that he is already dead. The entire Kunlun realm is in chaos." When Xiao Chun heard that, he felt startled. No wonder the 3 holy masters dared to come to the lower realm and send people to attack him. It turned out that such a huge change had happened in the Kunlun realm. As the undisputed king of the Kunlun realm, the strongest expert, the Thunder King, such a huge situation actually happened to him. There was no news of him, and his fate was unknown. The Thunder King could be considered Xiao Chen's strongest backer. Back in the Kunlun realm, the Thunder King's existence was a major reason why Xiao Chun had not been crushed to death by the major characters. However, such a change was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue for Xiao Chun. The difficulty of advancing to martial emperor suddenly increased explosively. The great tribulation of wind and fire already left him in a terrible state. The moment the Thunder King left, the balance of the external factors was broken. The external factors immediately became strange. Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly and said, "Sorry for bringing you such bad news. However, this is good as well. It is much better than going to the Kunlun realm and suddenly finding out. At the very least, you have a buffer." Xiao Chun recovered his wits and asked coldly, "What's wrong? Should I thank you?" Chu Chaoyan waved his hand and said, "There's no need for that. You don't have to look at me like that. There will definitely be a battle between us, but now is not the time." These words again? Xiao Chun frowned and said, "I've heard enough of these words. What exactly is the grudge between us? Although I have always treated you as my opponent, I do not have much hatred for you. However, for so many years, you have been hiding things from me, telling me these words. What exactly do you mean? There's no rush. Our goal is the same. We have not achieved our goal yet. So how can we tell you everything? Catch this." Chu Chaoyan gently leaped up and casually broke the formation that Xiao Chun left. Then he stretched out his hand and grabbed a formation flag, tossing it to Xiao Chun. A formation that a martial sage laid could not pose a problem for Chu Chaoyan. Xiao Chun was not surprised. However, he had not expected the other party to break it so casually. Xiao Chun caught the formation flag and saw that Chu Chaoyan seemed to want to destroy the Tianwu Emperor's grave. His expression changed slightly, and a murderous intent surged in his heart. "Stop!" Chu Chaoyan gently drifted down and stood on the simple tombstone of the first-generation Tianwu Emperor. He smiled gently and said, "Why stop? Actually, you must be very curious about the first-generation Tianwu Emperor's grave, right? Today, I will let you see what is inside." Before Xiao Chun could stop Chu Chaoyan, he saw Chu Chaoyan shatter the tombstone with one palm strike. The entire grave exploded, blasting the coffin out. The lid of the coffin opened with a huang-dang sound. When Xiao Chun, who was preparing to make a move, saw the situation in the coffin, his face filled with shock and disbelief. With a face full of shock and disbelief, he stopped what he was doing. Empty? That's right. After the heavy coffin lid opened, there was nothing in the coffin. It was completely clean, and there was nothing there. Xiao Chun suspected that he saw wrong. This place had been determined to be the grave of the first-generation Tianwu Emperor for close to 20,000 years. However, there was indeed nothing in there. The old dragon guarding this place had solemnly instructed Xiao Chun not to let anyone open it. There was nothing in there. What difference would it make if Xiao Chun did not open it? Xiao Chun narrowed his eyes and looked at Chu Chaoyan. "You knew long ago that there was nothing in there." Chu Chaoyan smiled gently and said, "If there really was any inheritance, someone would have opened it long ago when the Tianwu dynasty was destroyed to save the dynasty. Those major characters would have already come to take it away. How could it be left to us, two small fries?" Xiao Chun did not dare to believe it. However, that old dragon solemnly guarded this place for who knows how many years. If there is nothing in there, why would it need to guard this place? Chu Chaoyan's lips curled up as he kicked the coffin a few times. "It is not that there is nothing. I heard that this coffin was made by the first-generation Tianwu Emperor himself. It has a pretty good commemorative value. The old dragon was foolishly loyal. What it guarded was just a symbol." Chu Chaoyan's words were filled with disrespect for this first-generation Tianwu Emperor. He did not care about the first-generation Tianwu Emperor at all, treating him like an ancestor, not showing any respect at all. Xiao Chun still found this inconceivable. This result surpassed his expectations. Unexpectedly, there was nothing in the grave of the first-generation Tianwu Emperor. Xiao Chun's figure flashed and arrived at the blasted grave. The grave palace was rather intact, filled with the style of the ancient Tianwu dynasty. Xiao Chun carefully looked around. The construction of the grave palace was not complicated or spacious. The walls of the average-sized grave palace were all solid. There were no secret passages or secret rooms. There were some murals carved on the walls. When Xiao Chun touched them, he felt a sharp sword intent. Even after the destruction of the dynasty, more than 20,000 years ago, the sword intent was still sharp. If not for Xiao Chun's current strength and his cultivation of the saber, Dao reaching an unprecedented level, it would be hard to say that he would not be injured. Aside from the sharpness, Xiao Chun could feel the casual nature of the sword intent's master in this sword intent. That was to say, these murals were casually left behind by the sword intent's master and did not hold any special meaning. Xiao Chun withdrew his hand and carefully examined the murals. Due to the passage of time, the murals were already very blurry. Most of them were covered by dust. However, based on the trajectory of the sword intent, Xiao Chun could feel that the sword intent's master carved these murals in one breath, using a sword. Xiao Chun looked around and used his sharp senses to find the starting point of the murals. After that, he stepped forward and closed his eyes. Then, he used his left hand to touch the starting point. Life bestowal spell. Xiao Chun formed hand seals with his right hand and extended his hand. The dust in the grave palace flickered with light. Under the control of Xiao Chun's life bestowal spell, the dust gathered into a figure holding a sword. Vaguely, Xiao Chun seemed to see the scene of the sword intent's master dancing with a sword 20,000 years ago. Xiao Chun followed the starting point of the murals and walked forward step by step. His right hand continuously formed hand seals. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The figure formed by the dust danced with the sword, executing a sword technique. It was like this figure was reenacting the actions of the sword intent's master from 20,000 years ago, dancing with the sword. The sword light was magnificent and elegant.